What's going on, everyone? Let's see what our volume's set at here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to anybody and around the world. Thanks for joining us. Me and everyone else, that is. Good to see everybody in there. Let me see. It took me a little bit of time here. I'm trying to get this other computer kicked on. Good afternoon. And that's why it's taking me longer. But here we are. Let's see. What's up? All right, so let me see here. Oh, Lord have mercy. Who's in there? Roll call time. Renee Cruz. Corey. What's going on, Corey? Mimi Reacts. Hello, Mimi. Great Frall's in there. Let's see. Ancient Alternative View. Evening All says. What's going on? It would be AAV, wouldn't it? So, cool. Good to have you in there. Mr. Mike Knapp's in there. What's going on, Mike? Good to see you in there. Arts and Crafts. Hello, Arts and Crafts. Mr. Pete Ferrero's in the house. Hello, Chris, and everyone in the chat today. Mr. Robert Morgan's in there. Good to see you in there, Robert. Didn't expect to see you here tonight. Believe me or not, believe me when I tell you. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Check this out. So I get out at work like an hour early. Completely tired, ragged out. Keep in mind, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm in for 6, right? All physical work. Not 100% of it, but it's pretty darn close to it. I said, I got to get out a little early because they need to at least lay down. So I laid down. I got home, laid down for about, I got this computer turned on. Got this set up, but then you got to just get everything ready real quick. So I decided to lay down for 35 minutes. And then I had a half a sandwich and I'm here. Here I am. But I was like, I hate missing on Friday evenings. But I have thought about, and you guys can give me a yay or nay or tell me what you think, about maybe making it another day. Weekend's a little tough too because, like I said, I work on Saturdays. That's one of my truck days. That's where it was on the other, when I was working at the other store. So it's a little bit more difficult because when you get out on a Saturday, you got the afternoon for, basically you get the rest of the weekend. So you got the rest of the day and then, of course, you have Sunday off, but then it goes like this. Anybody who works on a Saturday, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like zips right by, right? So let me do this. Let me see if I can touch my hat into that plane. There we go. SR-71. There we go. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh my God. I was just like, man, I'm ragged. But this is kind of leisure. It's nice to be able to chill out with you guys. So I don't mind being here. But I thought about changing the day because it's kind of like, but I work every day except for Wednesday. So evening, maybe that would work. But a lot of people about, during the week. But you guys tell me what you think, tell me what you want to do, Daniel Lee's in there. He says, hi, good evening, fellow Martians. Hope everyone is okay. Hope you had a good week, Chris. Danny from Liverpool. What's going on, Danny? A good week, yes. Busy? Oh, yeah. Never a dull moment. Here's the thing, too. It's like when you're at your job, I got this one particular guy. He's the one, he does all the produce. Good guy, don't get me wrong. And he's an older fella. And he's a little older than I am, let's put it that way. And he's the one that he would drive the forklift. He's been at this place for the longest time. Well, I asked him, I said, you think he can come in a half hour early? And he said, well, I think he's got Medicaid or whatever. And I said, I understand. I totally get it, man. I said, would it be okay if he came in for the half hour early? I guess he's got to watch his hours. I said, come in a half hour early. Come in, leave a half hour early. Really no response. Yeah, never heard a thing. So guess who is actually unloading the trucks too with the forklift? I'll give you 3 guesses. First 2 don't count. Right. So I told the owner, I said, well, of course I was kidding around. I said, why don't we deduct a little bit of his pay, right? And then I could take that, seeing he's doing less and I'm doing more. I haven't been on a forklift 25 plus years. However, it's like riding a bike. Once you get used to it. But this is a little tricky. You go into a doorway, and as you're going into a doorway, you're up a ramp at the same time. So now you got to make sure you have to drop the load before you can even level off. But you get used to it. It's pretty easy. But still, just something else you got to do, right? Always something. Oops. They just jumped on me again. I love it when it does that. Mr. Josh D's in the house. What's going on, Josh D? He says, hey, my friend, how are you? And thanks for the last amazing video. Well, yeah, I wanted to get that one. I had another one, believe it or not. I was trying to get that one out for today. Didn't work out, but we'll probably have that one coming out probably, I'm trying to think now, I want to say the beginning of this week coming up. Now, my daughter is coming in for vacation, which is cool, but she's coming in for not the whole week. I think it's Tuesday. I could be wrong, but so either way, I'm going to try to get this thing knocked out for you guys. It's one of those, hey, look at this nice Butte mountain, and clearly it is not one. And you can see some of the details that they didn't completely cover up, so interesting video is there as well. Leslie Ann Warren says, I'm here, Chris. Big hugs. Love to you all. Oh, Leslie, I'm glad to see you in there, man. I hope you're doing well. Mr. Bush Corey's in there. Bush Corey Gaz. Hey, Chris, happy Friday. I'm baking cake for my daughter. Erin's birthday. Well, happy birthday, Erin. Good to see you in there. Well, you're not in there, but that is. Hi, gang. Yeah. Let's see. Renee Cruz. Chris, Subway today? Yes, I actually had the roast turkey. Pretty good. This time they actually loaded it. There must have been a different person there because, you know, like if you ever go there to like skimp on everything, this one here, because I usually have like the sweet, I was going to say sweet potatoes. Wow. That's going to be a little awkward with it. You know, I'd have like the hot peppers, the sweet peppers, and, you know, we can throw all kinds of stuff in there with it. Tomatoes, all this other stuff, right? So I was like, man, they really loaded this one up. I'm looking at this thing, weighs like a ton. I was like, usually they skimp. Or you have to tell them, put extra on. And of course, it costs a little extra bread, right? Yeah, literally. Let's see. Tommy Jacobs says, what's wrong with the roll call? Nothing, as far as I know. I usually have, Renee, you said sweet tea, iced tea? No, I actually don't have that today. I was actually drinking some water. Imagine that. Let's see, Renee V. What's going on, Renee V? Tommy Jacobs says, kick-ass plane. It is. I've been right alongside of this thing, can touch it and everything else. It's a beast. It's awesome. Marcel, Seifert, what's going on? Good to see you in there, Marcel. Kevin T. All right, you can stop worrying. I made it. Oh, I appreciate that, Kev. We can all continue. Good to have you in there. Ricardo Petrozzi, what's happening? Good to see you in there as well. Blue Flash is in there. What's going on, Blue Flash? Tommy Wiley, what's happening? Great to be back with you, Chris. I'm usually working when your live stream is on. That's true. So it's been a while. Glad to have you in there. Let's see. Tommy Jacobs says, first time I caught the live video. Well, there you go. First time for everything, right? Oh, anyway, so how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing better than I am and not as tired. But it's kind of like wakes me up a little bit, you know? I'm like, I get to spend some evening time with these guys. It's always good to be able to do that. Let's see. Josh D, you said, did anyone see the new Apache helicopter video? It is long. Need to see it on the big screen, but wow. No, I haven't seen it. I actually did a video on that Blue Flash, the doorway type thing. It's definitely an opening of some sort, right? Whether it was a doorway or not. Well, a doorway, but whether there was a door or not. But, you know, NASA's actually trying to play that off. You guys see that? Well, it's just the way the rocks kind of just, you know, kind of settled in. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a very good possibility, right? But the way it looks, and then there's some of the stuff that's in front of it, which I broke down that, as far as in the front of that, there's more to that opening than just that. Definitely much more to it than that. Renee V says, all good, Chris. Well, I'm happy to hear that. That's where I actually seen it, Tommy. You said they used to have an SR-71 at the USS Alabama battleship park. Loved it. That's exactly where I saw it. When we went down to the Mars conference down in Alabama, we were like 10, 15 minutes away from it. Went down there, checked out all the, because it went from the older planes, like biplanes, right up to the SR-71 and stuff like that. So really, really cool. Tommy Wiley, I know the feeling, Chris. Yep. It'll wear you out, but it's like as long as you start going to bed a little earlier, trying to get a little sleep, sometimes you're so wound up, it's hard to do that, right? It's like, ugh. Let me see. Kevin T says, Neville is the man. The last gigapan you looked at, Chris, is insane. So much stuff in there. Definitely down structures. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even show everything. There's actually a spot that I was looking at, I was concentrating on. That's when I went from right to left, and it was almost in the middle. It was like a little low spot in between the higher spots. And I actually missed a part of it that I really wanted to show you guys. And instead I showed it slightly off to the left. I was going, what are you doing? After I looked at the video and edited it and everything else, that's when I noticed that one. Oh my God. But it doesn't matter. Everybody else, all of you folks, get to have a look at it and say, wow, look at these little pieces. What look like squares with holes in them, and they're just up on the top, and it's crazy how much stuff is in these photos if you take the time to look. Mimi Reacts says, swamp gas door. I hate it when I see those. It's crazy, right? Blue Flash says, feel like entering the doorway with a flashlight. I hear that. And this thing is definitely not that big. It really isn't. It's, within, I think it was like 20, 30 centimeters, whatever it was. So we're talking very, very small, right? But again, is it possible, and we've talked about this before, a lot of people have said this to me, oh, maybe they're just tiny little Martians. And of course your brain goes, stop. However, it is a smaller planet. So is it possible it'd be people that small, within a foot tall or shorter? My brain tells me no. It's what it does. But my brain also told me no before when I first started looking at these photos and I saw the crazy things that were in it. And I went, there's no way. There's no way this stuff is in these photos. But lo and behold, here they are. So, yeah, what's the deal, right? Let's see. Let me see. Oh, so you were probably pretty close to it too, Tommy. We were at, I'm trying to remember if it was a school. I don't remember the name of the building now. It's been several years now since we've been down there. And we had like this auditorium type thing we were in. And it was really interesting. We decided to go down there and take a look at the park, and really, really cool. We was on remember they had, if you go up the ramp to the battleship, remember they had the submarine there as well, which was really cool. Yep, Battleship Park. TMT Girl, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Saying greetings from hot California. I'm glad yours is warm. Ours is like, Mother Nature decided to go retarded on our end. It's 67 degrees, rainy on and off all day. Had some sun this morning. Wasn't too bad. Had some lulls in the rain. And then it's just, I was just sitting there not long ago, and like I said, I was eating that little part of the sandwich before I came on. I'm sitting there and I hear, shh, stop raining. I'm like, what is going on out there? So it's been like this for the past few days. But this weekend's supposed to be hot. We're going to get your weather. It's supposed to be like 91, I think, Sunday into Monday, whatever it may be. So just crazy, right? Blue Flash, great question. You said, how could a doorway like that be natural? Well, the way they're making it sound like it kind of like, it's the way the mountain or the butte, whatever they're claiming, it settled like that and it just has this weird opening. But yet somebody had done, I don't know if you guys have seen this, it was on, where was it? It might have been on Facebook, somebody put it on there. It was like the next day, or later on where it moved, so they got a different angle of it. It was like a left. It was looking from the left instead of when we say it was like not center, but a little bit to the right of the center. The other one was to the left, and it still looked like that. So, yeah, crazy, right? Samantha Morris, how are you? Good to see you in there. Hello, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm listening early morning here. Oh, what I'd give to have like a nice morning just to chill. It's funny. It was a when we first got there, this truck got delivered. Well, the truck delivered rather. I'm sorry, was delivered there twice a week. It was Tuesday and Thursday, and I was like, yes, because the other store used to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It'd be 3 days. Well, I'm like, yes, I actually have a week in this. I can't believe it. It's heaven. That was killed off. That was next week. They said, by the way, it'll be Tuesday and Saturday. Of course. Why would I want to have a whole weekend off to myself? That would suck. So, yeah, that got knocked down to hell. Right to hell real quick. Yeah, not too happy. But, you know, it is what it is. Elmir, what's going on? Clint Eastwood's Stanley airplane from Russia, flying doing 2,000 miles an hour, same airplane, good movie. Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about, too. Let me see. Also, sweeter, is that what it's called? Sweeter as hell. Because of the gravity on Mars, chances are a humanoid species would be taller than here on Earth. Well, that's true. Because they even said, well, there's a lot of scientists that believe that we might have came from Mars, and we are actually Martians, that our bodies are not 100% in tune with Earth, but more in tune with Mars. And they said that you'd be taller and spindlier because you have less gravity, so I agree. But is it possible, because then it kind of defeats the purpose of little people, right? Is it possible it was both? Or their tallest person was very short? I don't know. It's pure speculation, right? We don't know. But it's just weird. I don't know how many times I've seen things that were very small. I'm saying, okay, so let me see. Really, really small. Does that imply small people? I don't know. We've seen things that look like structures littered all across the ground, and yet you see the rover sitting there. Now, is the rover superimposed in the photo to make it look like be really tiny, when in actuality it's actually bigger? I don't know. Because they can fool with the picture as much as they want to, right? Yeah, very good possibility. Mr. Pat Owen, what's going on? Good to have you in there, man. Alusta, what's happening? Say, Chris, good to see you. Good to see you too. Glad you're in there, man. All the fine folks that were usually in here, pretty much in there so far. I see everybody in there. Wild Mountain Bear is in there. Of course, he's writing in a different language, but yeah. Somebody translate that for me. Good to see you in there, Wild Mountain Bear. Blue Flash, any chance I could enter that doorway? Let's see. How good are you at breaking yourself in half, or like, you know, basically disassembling your bones? Kind of like a mouse, or, like snakes and stuff like that. How good are you at that? Mr. Cameron, what's going on? Said, how are you, Chris, on this Friday? I'm doing well. Doing really good. I hope you're doing good. Hazel Sweeter says, send California some rain. We need it bad. Tell you what, I'd love to be able to trade off a few days of each. In other words, you guys give me some of that nice, clear, hot weather, and we'll take some rain and give it your way, because, my God, it's like Mother Nature's going, I don't know. Should we hang on with the spring, or should we go on with the summer? I don't know. I'm indecisive. It's like, my God, man. You know, usually it hops right. Usually it'll go from like winter, then spring starts to kick in, all of a sudden, instantly in the summer. Now it's like taking a sweet time, flopping over. Just really strange. Let me see. Alpha Bravo 76. Elaine. Is it Elaine? Hello from France, Normandy. Hey, good to have you in there. Alpha Bravo. AB76. I don't know if that's you're using phonetics, but yeah, because I used to use those when we were on. I used to talk on the radio a lot. I was from Rhode Island, so I used to Romeo. Excuse me, Romeo India 392. That's what I used to go by. Tommy Loveless, what's going on? What is going on? I worry about you talking about Titan. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of this stuff lately when I get a chance to kind of like get in there, take a look, and checking some of that stuff out. Trying to get like different things, because I'm looking at, I've always looked at different moons and stuff like that too, right? So, like Enceladus is crazy, right? You know, with the geysers, swamp gas geysers, that's what it is. But yeah, so really interesting. But yeah, I'm always looking for something different, so I was like checking out a few things before. And of course, we're always looking at some pages and stuff. We can cover some different things. Third Eye Open, how are you? Good to see you in there. Ricardo's good. 10-4, good buddy. Ricardo, what's your QTH? Metalhead, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. So weather phenomenon is at its highest ever. Climate change is in full production. Well, not everybody believes that, but you know how that goes, right? To each his own. Mark Jeffrey says, yes, been nice and sunny in Cornwall, UK. What was it? Tommy Jacobs, you said something like, can I, it jumped on me here, but I see another one. Can I send my wife a one-way to Mars? You can do that. She'd probably be a little against that, but yeah. Let me see. Ricardo just requested to send a link to the Discord server. So let me see here. Let me grab that here. Open that. I haven't yet to get on this thing live. Now, I shouldn't say that. I've been on it twice, kind of peeked in there, messed around with it, checked the settings and everything else, and just nobody expected me to be on. They didn't get on. But let me see, what did that say? Okay. Let me see. Let's see. Let's get an invitation going here. I don't know how many times I got to do this, but it's got to be set this link to never expire, and every time I go on there, it's a different link. All right, let me see here. Let me jump on here. Let me see if this goes on here. All right, this is the Discord link on the channel that I have on Discord. If you want to jump on there and check it out. All of these fine folks and then some are on there. And there's different subcategories we can talk, anything conspiracy or different things. I just dropped the link just now. You can jump on over there and check it out. There's a lot of good conversation, as long as it's related. It's got to be related to what we're talking about, or else, you know, usually it'll get kicked off. I'd rather not do that because I like good conversation. I'll go in there once in a while and be able to read and check out what you guys are doing, showing different photos and stuff that you've caught, whether it be UFOs or photos of Mars or whatever, or the moon. Stuff that you guys have found, which is cool. So, yeah. Long Island, New York, what's going on? He said, hi, y'all. Sorry I'm late. You're fine, man. Man, even I got on late, like I said, yeah, just got out of work and probably lay down for about a half hour and then had something to eat. And I still got on at what was it, like 10 past, guys, the hour? So I got a little late myself, so I got a hall pass, though. I think we're good. Ricardo Petrozzi said, I missed your question there, Chris. Did you ask what my handle used to be? No, I said, what was your QTH, meaning your location? Get it? Like a joke type thing. But that's what that means. What is your QTH, your location? But just more talk, radio talk. Blue Flash, he said, they could send the drone flying into the doorway, though. Well, here's the thing, though. As small as that doorway is, they claim, it'd never go. Even that thing is big. It's good size. If you've ever seen Ingenuity, the helicopter itself, it's pretty darn large. When you look at a person and that, I mean, it's don't get me wrong, it's a lot smaller compared to the rover, but as far as a person, I mean, the thing's like, it's pretty big. Oops. Yeah, see, even Metalhead says he's late. It's all good, guys. It's all good. Glad to have you guys in there. MG Toe, how are you? Good to see you in there. Says, hi all. JP Lafort says, salute, Chris. JP, Florida. I'm sure it's pretty nice down there, too. Oop. Johnny Backwood says, hello from Daniel Boone National Forest. Oh, cool. Good to have you in there, Johnny. Let's see. There you go, Metalhead. I'm from Southern California. Tequila is the regional drink. Oh, yeah. But is there a tequila sunrise? I guess there would be, right? Let me see. Let me do this. Here we go. Pete Ferrero said, speaking of moon, Starliner test and Rosie was a successful test for the moon landing. That's what I saw. That was pretty cool. And that's what I'm saying. These guys will continue to do it till they get it right. And before you know it, we'll be traveling back and forth to the moon like it's like you're taking a vacation across the United States. It's got to be that cool. That's got to be neat. Ricardo, appreciate it, man. Thanks for your support. Always a continued supporter here on the channel. Said, just like BT Advert used to say, it's good to talk, so jump on Discord 24/7, 365 to continue the conversation. Absolutely. And here's the thing, when it's either I can't make it to the live feed or you guys want to continue conversations, you can do that. You can go right to Discord and you guys can, there's all a bunch of good people there. So even if it seems like you're like, I don't know, I don't want to have a conversation because they'll think I'm like, well, they're not going to think you're bats because here's the thing. We're all like-minded people here, so nobody's going to think that way. Unless, of course, you're like way off the deep end, like, oh, the Earth is flat. Well, you might be a little discouraged not to return because we don't even entertain that silliness. But as far as like, the space talk, moon, whatever other moon, planets, pictures that we have of the moon and so it's just awesome to be able to talk about it. And then we have general chat, which I wouldn't say anything goes in that, but, it's not too bad. But yeah, it's always good to be able to do that. Thank you, Ricardo. I do appreciate you, as always. Leslie Ann, thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate you with the pair of blown kisses. That's pretty sweet. That thing does a lot, doesn't it? You ever notice that? The flying pair, exercising pair. I'll take a margarita. Straight up, please. Third eye open. Oh, yeah. Mimi Rax. I had a beer from Belgium called Delirium, but it didn't give me one. It didn't. Yeah, some of the things you got to be careful about if you don't know anything about them. Even the simplest things like White Russians. Man, it's so good. They're smooth and everything else. Next thing you know, you're getting your ass whooped. You know, if you drink a bunch of those things, depending, of course, how you mix them, too. Renee V said, have you seen anything of the moon eclipse? Was a bizarre one with lots of colors during the eclipse. Here in Europe, I guess, was the partial lunar eclipse. No, I really haven't. Truthfully, I haven't really had time to really do any of that or check it out or anything like that. But interesting. Wonder what's going on there. Renee Cruz says, I got 2 more blocks to deliver a piece of cake. If you guys only knew the good parts about delivering U.S. mail is when the supervisor's not around with their binoculars snooping doing route inspections. I can understand that. There's nothing worse when you're doing your job and there's somebody either over your shoulder or constantly eyeballing you. It's like, listen, do your job. It's not to be like stuck up everybody's butt when they're doing theirs. It's okay to overlook them and make sure they're doing good. But if the people are doing their job, at least the ones you know that do their job, leave them alone. Good God. Let's see, anybody? Figuratively speaking, says, love your content. Well, I appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm not getting out as much as I like to, like I used to, but you know how work can be. Metalhead, you said I watched that too. I already think we're going back and forth to the moon and maybe Mars. I think it's been going on for a long time, Metalhead, to be honest with you. Like I said, right after we got our Apollo missions, everything else, I think we never stopped going. And I've said this numerous times because if you've gotten it down, if you've done it 7, 8 times, you pretty much have that down pat. So they probably said, well, we're going to discontinue it, folks. We can't afford to do it anymore. But in the meantime, they probably said, listen, we already know what's up there. We're not just going up there for rocks and dust. However, the military behind everything is saying, we got new propulsion, new spaceships that can get there faster, so on and so forth. Maybe they got a cargo bay, the whole 9 yards. Like I said, you can use the old space shuttles, cargo ports right there, boom, open and close. You can literally go back and forth. I mean, what's the difference between what they got up there with and the shuttle? Still going to be in full astronaut gear, so you still have your atmospherics. You still get there, do what you got to do, come back home, and as long as it's retrofit to be able to, I mean, it went out to the low orbit to assemble the ISS. How much different would it be to fly to the moon? Keep in mind, it can land like a regular plane. If there's like a runway type thing, it'd be great, but I don't know how they would do that. But it doesn't mean they have not. So that's what makes it interesting, right? I don't think they ever stop going. If we see the stuff we see in the photos, right? So my thing is this: if they're looking at this stuff and they know it's there, that's their real reason to be up there. They're not just going to go, you're right, guys, we've seen enough. Why don't we just go ahead and just stop? What do you guys think? Just stop? Yeah, we'll do that. No. They're going to want to build a base because the amount of time they've been up there, they're going to need a whole lot more time to pull more stuff apart, check out more stuff, back engineer it, build more and more and more for ourselves up there. Come on, you know they didn't stop. There's no way. Figuratively speaking, says, wish more folks would see and realize you are a godsend. Well, you can thank YouTube for doing that because they pretty much shadow ban you and they don't have you in suggested areas. Some of them, yes, some of them not so much. So they keep the viewing down so nobody can see that because this has been stagnant now for I don't know how long. Same amount of subscribers. I used to get, no word of a lie, it was nothing to see one, maybe almost 200 people within a day or two subscribing. Now it's like stagnant. It's like they just go, we can't have that. We're gonna have to block them off, shadow ban them, and and then they wonder why a lot of people just they drop right off because some people this is their living. I mean and truthfully I make side money off this, but now I'm not. I mean I'm literally if anything it'd be depending on you guys when you guys support the channel and stuff. But I'm not doing it like I was. You guys know this, so I mean I got my job, which is good. But a lot of the people, maybe they have reasons that they can't actually go out to the workforce, so this is their bread and butter. Now, if they're doing anything that's they consider conspiracy level, they just right off the bat, they'll shadow ban you, which is crazy, right? Brian Dunn, what's happening? He said hello from sunny Dorset in the UK. Man, everybody's got sun but me. What's up with that? Yeah, we'll get our chance. Then it'll get so hot we'll say, man, I wish it was a little cooler. Oh, Tommy, smart move on that one. Tommy says, I almost bought a flat earth watch as a novelty. Then I realized they were selling them to fund their education program. Unbelievable. Alfie Joe Bob, thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Says thank you. You guys are always good supporters of the channel. I do appreciate you guys all. You know that. But that's awesome. Exactly, Leslie. And you said, what I like about the group is that we don't have to agree on all. Yeah, because it's all okay because everybody's going to have their different views, right? So some people may agree with what I say and some don't, and that's fine. Because I would rather have people who critically think than say, oh yeah, I'm just going to be a robot and just believe everything. No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to say, okay, I hear what the guy's saying. I don't care if it's me or any other channel. I hear what he's saying, but is this true? Because I need to check this out for myself. Then there you go. Research it, come up to your own and say, okay, yeah, he's pretty much spot on, or I don't quite agree. Come up to your own conclusions. That's what it's all about. Johnny Backwoods says, Lockheed Skunk Works have had the technology for a while now. Oh, yeah. A lot of these companies work together, and I'm talking about big companies. These guys, Grumman and all of these guys, they all get together. They make, you can't even, I don't think we can fathom what these guys have got. This was built in the 50s. And then, of course, it came out in 60s and so on and so forth, right? So the plans were probably earlier than that, the SR-71. Just imagine what they got now. I still think it's the fastest plane, jet, still right now. As opposed to, well, what I mean by that, too, is as far as going up, I think it was like, how many feet was it? Like 60 or 80,000? And actually that fast. It was just incredible and crazy what this thing could do. And that's back then. So it has something that, this was like almost invisible to any like radar. Not completely, but pretty darn invisible. The speed it's got, and if you look at this thing, it looks like it's got pulse engines in it. It doesn't even look like a regular jet engine. But now they got ramjet engines. They got all these kind of weird high-tech engines, and they're just crazy, the amount of speed that these things can go. Long Island, New York says, smash that like button, wham, pow, hit it. Hit it good. Long Island, you said, not much UFO news or incidents lately, wonder why. Well, there are. If you, like, I get some feeds, and I think I've got one or two of them here for you guys to watch, and we'll jump in that soon, because I got, like, I forget how many pages open we can talk about and just go over these things. It's that weird thing where you got to try to discern what's real, what's not. There's one I think is, I think there might be maybe two of them that are triangular. So we'll have to see. One of them, it's just weird when you see it. And you don't know how good these people are with CGI. I mean, it's come a long way. And if you're really good at what you do, it could be faked off pretty well. The problem with UFOs is that you don't know whether this stuff is real or not. The good thing about what we do here is we're not even looking at that. But I can tell you right now, just from looking at the moon photos and Mars, I don't have to see this silliness. People are trying to discern whether, I don't know, UFOs real? Are they fake? Is this one real? Is this fake? I don't know about the ones that everybody's seeing, but I know for a fact there's other life out there. So they've probably been visiting, and I pretty much know they have, because even our ancient civilizations have been talking about this for years, for thousands of years. that they had these chariots of fire coming down from the skies. You know, every one of the, you know, look at the religious books, our gods came down from the heavens to teach us, you know, agriculture, language, mathematics, you name it. So it's written everywhere, so to speak. So it's nothing, it doesn't even surprise me. I see people talking about it on their live feeds, talking about UFOs, and I think it's kind of silly because they're trying to just, you know, they're trying to, like the military. Well, they're flying around with impunity, so they might be a danger. If they were a danger, they would have already done something. Long time ago. They would have said, listen, we have the power, you're weak, we're going to show you right now what your battleships and everything are worth. Shut down, just like they were doing years ago to the missile silos. So if they really were dangerous, the only thing I can see that they're dangerous if they're literally flying in front of like a commercial jet, things of that nature. That is the danger. I don't see anything as far as like them being, you know, ooh, they're you know, they're gonna kill us all kind of attitude. I don't see that at all. But I know, just like I said, from judging by what I'm seeing in these photos, both again, Moon, Mars, Enceladus Moon, so on and so forth, there's been life, there always has been life. Simple as that. Mikado, he said 80 watching, 58 likes, 10 dislikes. You know what's funny? I don't even have it on there anymore, the dislikes. I could care less. Because I think it's funny. I don't even watch it. All I have is the likes on here. So if there's 50,000 of dislikes, I wouldn't care. But again, what they don't get is that, like I said, the dislikes, is that you're still interacting with the channel. YouTube recognizes that, good, bad, or indifferent. They still recognize that. So your channel still gets interaction, and it's still considered, you know, that the channel's very active. So then by them doing that, it's only helping me. It's not hurting me. That's what they don't get. Yeah, it's funny how they do that. That's a great question, Brian Dunn. You said, why do NASA still go to the huge, expensive Saturn rockets when we all know they have ET tech? Well, they're showing that for us. That's the PR part of, you know, NASA, where even probably a lot of NASA doesn't even know. This is probably black ops well above them. And of course, they dictate what they can show us in these photos. This is the reason why you have all this CGI going on in these photos, and they're trying to block out everything that they can, right? But there are some breadcrumbs left in these photos, and that's what it's all about. And we can still bring lines through these photos, and we can bring out what's really in these photos. Not 100%, of course. You might get 10, 20%. Sometimes they really make a mistake, and you get maybe 30, 40%, but then the rest of it's all gobbledygook. It's just like trying to read through a surface like an overlay. It's exactly what it is, over the top of the real photo. And that's what we try to pick apart. And you're not always going to get that. So you're getting like a tip of the iceberg as opposed to the whole iceberg. So, yeah. John Shea, what's going on? It's been a while since I've seen you in there. He said, hi, Chris, everyone. Nice to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here, John. I think you've been here, well, maybe a couple, 2, 3 ago, weren't you? But, yeah, if you're like me, you're probably working your butt off. So, yeah, I get it. Oops. I think it just jumped at me. I love it when it does that. Mimi Reaction said, Chris, there's a channel on YouTube that talks about strange medieval phenomena in the sky. Yeah, I mean, this is, this goes way back, even way before then, before, you know, these medieval times. We're talking way prior to, like, you know, we're talking about, you know, Puma Punku and way past then even. It's just crazy how much of history is actually being hidden from us, right? Robert Morgan. I beat the like button. I beat the like button like Amber beat Johnny. Isn't that a fiasco? That's funny. Long Island, New York, he said they must have an SR-72 by now. No, they have something else. It's very similar to this, but I forget what they call it. It's crazy, the technology. Like I said, take this jet here, right? Change the engines so they work out in space better, more efficient. What would you need to change unless you're bringing something there? Picture, again, if you had bay doors that opened up at the top like a what? A space shuttle. This is what tells me they never stopped going. Now, they did retire those. If you look at, just put space shuttle in Kakistan, there are two of them that I see that are literally just decaying away. They're literally just rotting away, just falling apart in this giant hangar, doing absolutely nothing, and that's sad. That is truly sad. Just look at put like space shuttles in Kakistan. It's really wild and sad to see that. But that doesn't mean they didn't have others made. Maybe they made more of a high-tech version of those and just retired the older ones. And of course they come out with this, yeah, we lost the technology and how to get to the moon. You didn't lose it. It's old technology. You don't choose to use it again. So that's what I think they really mean by it. Yeah, we lost the technology. Wait a minute. So you come up with the technology to go there to begin with, but now suddenly you just don't have a clue how to get there? No. They probably threw away all the plans and said, listen, we're going to have something new, much newer coming out. We don't need this garbage. So, and you know, it's this way here in the meantime, they're going back and forth to the moon. Everybody's going, oh, that's sad. They didn't have enough money, you know, to continue on with the missions. No, they just went secret, that's all. They just shut the public out. That's all they did. Mr. James Cragen, there he is. James Cragen, he's in the house. Hi, Chris and everyone here tonight. Great to be here. It's good to have you in there, James, as always. Always a continuing supporter of the channel. I do appreciate you as always, my friend. That's awesome. Good to see you in there. At first, I didn't see you in there. I'm going, where's James at? Usually he's in there early. Everybody else will start asking too, where's James at? He's MIA. Ricardo, you said with UFOs, and if they are fake or not, it's kind of like we know that we know. There's a real unknowns that they say are secret military and secret military stuff they say that don't know is. Well, like I said, there's a lot of probably no communication. Not that it's miscommunication. They have like different, you know, like layers of military or top secret, right? Like NASA will have its own branch like, okay, this is hush hush. We can have this part going to the public, the PR part of it, and then of course we got the let's keep this quiet type thing, and then of course you get the military, then top military brass, and then of course you got like the black ops, and then you got these leaders of the world are like part of like this group that just know everything there is to know, and they have these military top secret black ops answering to them. What did you build? If whatever money you need, you got it at disposal. Go ahead and do what you got to do. So you know these people are doing whatever the hell they want with our money. Or they're just making it, which is not always a good thing. You know how that works out. But still, can you imagine what they have now? They had this, like I said, they were probably drawing up the plans on this thing in the 40s. So just figure it out. And, you know, technology has grown from leaps and bounds just from simple stuff we use around the house. Let alone, look at our automobiles, how much they've gotten, how much better they've gotten since the 70s and the 80s and so on and so forth. Or since the dawn of the car back in the 1800s, you know? Look at the difference. I mean, it's crazy. So you can imagine what they come up with, especially when you got people getting paid high money to say, listen, I want this thing to go this fast. I need it to be almost bulletproof, but more than anything, I need it invisible. Okay, make it so. So, and I needed to go to the moon because we're going to continue our little, what do you call it, missions. There you go. Great for all says, I prefer physical evidence, like the anomalies on the moon, Mars and the moon. UFOs are untouchable. Well, the problem with them is you don't know which ones are real anymore. Like I said, you see them all over the, YouTube, but yet they'll let those videos go through all day long. In other words, they won't say, let's shadow ban them. It's just silliness, and you can see clearly it's fake stuff. So why don't we just shadow ban them? No, those are the ones who get all kinds of hits. Like you got some of them channels, like that Daniel channel shows like these structures on Mars, and they're literally right here on Earth, and he's just superimposing them on, Martian scenes, stupid stuff on it. You can clearly see and yet it's getting all kinds of hits. That's what I should start doing. Maybe I'll make up a BS channel. Why don't I just do that? Then I can get all kinds of hits. Interesting. See, I've been doing it wrong all along, guys. I'd rather be truthful. I'd rather just pull this thing apart truthfully and see what's really there. Brian Dunn says, Gray believes that one of a Braun theory, that there was a false flag ET invasion coming soon. I read about that too. This is a long time ago too. Have the deep state got the hard tech and hologram techno to pull it off? That's another thing. People are talking about that too. They're going to talk about this alien invasion. And it's going to be more holographic than it is actually physical. That's where it gets really weird. So again, would you be able to tell the difference? Imagine it being like a high-tech 3D holographic image in the sky. How would you know if it's real? Here's another thing. People would say, well, I'd be able to tell, because it'd be like it's kind of like the Batman sign, like you put it on and it would project into the sky. How do you know they wouldn't project it from a satellite? So you wouldn't see it from the sky. Think about that. So we really, truly don't know. Scott, you said they didn't lose the technology. They were denied the tech to wormhole through the Van Allen belt. Well, they don't actually have to do that. The Van Allen belts they come and go with the solar activity. And I've discussed this before, because we've had people come on here saying, well, they couldn't get through the Van Allen belts, which is not true. They're thinnest at the poles. And like I said before, and a lot of these folks heard me say this before, where at times there's 3 Van Allen belts. Most of the time it's 2. Excuse me. But most of the time, depending on the solar activity, you have just the 2 belts, but they come and go. They get stronger and weaker and stronger and weaker. So they can they can forecast the Van Allens by the activity of the sun. And plus they go more out towards the poles to avoid this. So, you can just read up on that, and it's the truth. So, but as far as like technology, they probably said, this is so old school, let's just be done with it. And they already had something new in its place. They already know they can do it. So all they had to do is change the transport, not about, if you're going to the moon, okay, we've done it with this raggedy piece of trash. Now we've got something new to take its place. We know we can do it. It takes such and such a time to get there. We can get there sooner now with a better engine. Life support, we got that, no problem. We'll do it a lot more high tech, and do everything a lot more technologically advanced compared to the missions back then, late 60s, early 70s, and they've been going since. It hasn't stopped. I know I wouldn't judge on what I seen in them photos and what they were hiding in them. There's a base there. There is. Because they couldn't cover the whole darn area in just a few missions. When I say few, it's like 7 or 8 missions. So they're not going to just stop then and go, well, we had enough, we're good. No. Build a base up there. We can go around there. We can, let's say you could simulate like a space Harrier jump jet, right? Literally takes off, flies, kind of like a Space Eagle from Space 1999. Lift off, fly, land, check out whatever you want, do the same thing, return back to base. It's as far-fetched as that sounds, and there's no way we can vet that, but it would not surprise me if they could do that. It really doesn't. Kathleen Salas, is that, am I pronouncing that last name correctly? So China and USA probably battling it out on the moon or battling the aliens for resources. Yeah, I mean, or they've been talking to them and they're allowed to do this, but I always get a little, I don't think that's the case. Because I'm thinking to myself, they're probably saying, what's next? If they're coming up here for the resources, let's say you're the alien and you're a civilization on the moon, what's next? Are they going to want to take over what we got? Because what are they using for resources if they're there? So I'm not sure they're there, and if they are, there's very few of them compared to what it used to be. And what I mean by that is that I've done videos where you see what look like dilapidated spaceships just kind of laying on their side. One was inside of a crater wall, just laying on its side. One would look like a giant cargo container, literally right there in the photo. That's just laying right on there. And you can see like cities and all kinds of crazy things on the moon. How do we know that that was just simply surface and nobody's there now? Maybe subsurface, lunar surface, that there are some underground. I don't care what goes on the moon. I just don't see, unless they get some kind of communication with this civilization, I don't see how they can just allow that to happen. It's like, listen, we've been on this moon for X amount of thousands and millions of years. You're newcomers compared to us. Stay off this planet, stay off the moon, or this, I was going to say this body at first. Stay off this moon, stay down where you're at. Or they allowed them to go up there. But, because you know at some point, you know, there's got to be some kind of war for the resources. You know what I mean? Let me see. Renee Cruz, you said, yeah, Chris, they don't use the old analog wristwatch technology anymore. They now use the Amatron computer watches from the Consumers Distributing Catalog from the 18th. Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah. That's funny. I actually had one of those back in the day. But yeah, you're right. It's like what's going on? They want you to believe, oh, it's very slow going. We're still using the Saturn V's. It's really sad. We're trying to do the best we can. That, like I said, and maybe in the regular world, the technology is going that slow. But again, picture being in total secrecy, building something much more awesome. That's the difference. Metalhead, you said, I think the Space Force is already using anti-grav. I've been filming something that looks like they're monitoring the landscape. They're not satellites. They zigzag and bounce around. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think, well, again, they've been messing around with anti-gravity, at least getting, like, just touching on it, if you will, back in the 40s. So I believe they probably have that already, perfected it. You're talking about, let's say even if they even started talking about it back in the 30s, giving them a little too much credit, but let's call it the 40s for argument's sake. Okay, that's 80 years ago. Seriously? Even if it was 70 years ago. Yeah, the way, it's like just imagine a bunch of high-tech people, a think tank, just sitting there in a building. How can we perfect this? There's no other job they do but that. You're telling me they haven't figured that out by now? Promise you they did. So, you know, they probably have test cells to test these things out, just like they do any other rocket engine. They got a test cell. You know, they'll bring it up to full power. If it explodes, okay, it's in a test cell. So on and so forth. If you've ever seen an actual jet engine tested, it's pretty wild. My brother let me go into this test center where they got this engine, got it up on a stand, an engine stand type thing, and they just bring that thing up to full speed. Literally, there could be water on the floor. It'll suck the water right off the floor into the engine. It's insane. When they have these giant like point fences, like guards on them, they're fences so they can let the air through, but to stop anybody from like, you know, getting sucked into it. Although if you still did, you're still a dead man, but it's still pretty wild. Let me see. Marina Rapan, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Phil C is in there too. I didn't see you sneaking either. I think I said, yeah, I said hi to Corey earlier. James Cragen, thank you again for your support, brother. I do appreciate you. You said, Chris, the crop circle phenomenon is ramping up, man. Is it really? I didn't think it was. Now, it makes you wonder now, because remember it kind of died out. It was never forgotten, but remember back in the, what was it, the 70s? It was like huge back then, right? Everybody's like, oh, wow, you know. And of course, supposedly these other two guys faked it. You know, they had some string and some board, and they were just stepping as they went along. And these things are way too intricate, right? To be faked. Some of these things are outrageously cool, and you can tell these things are cut with precision. Some of them, you can see in the early ones, the guy's trying to fake it. Yeah, that was me that did that, whatever. You could tell the difference between that what was done and, of course, you know, the high-tech version, meaning pristine, clean cut kind of thing. How the wheat and everything was laid down, and just really wild. Massinissa, what's going on? He said, is Iron Man and Captain America from another planet? Maybe Mars? Nah, they're pretty much fictitious, but who knows, though, right? It's kind of like, oh, I'm going to draw a blank on that. It just reminded me what you said about, what was it? What was the name? I'll think of it here in a second. But I want to say John Carpenter, but that's not what I want to say. But that movie where, remember, the guy had gone from Earth to Mars, and he could literally, when he tried to walk, he was literally leaping and bouncing and everything else, where what the hell is it? You guys will tell me what it is. I'm drawing a blank on it. I'm going to jump all the way down to the bottom. Johnny Backwards, you said technology is suppressed because technology equals power. Pretty much. That is a fact. Josh D said the UFO tech was on Earth already 7,000 years ago when the Rig Veda, the Vedas, yeah, were written and also altered during Sumerian times. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Phil? Like I said, I didn't see a creep in there. Leslie Ann, you said you can't fake these crop circles. I've seen them with my own eyes. We have a lot of fields that here. Yeah, exactly. And some of them are so precision, there's no way. And the time it would take to make these things that are such precision, there's no way men are doing that. John Carter, thank you very much. Inhabit Mars. Oh, by the way, good to see you in there. Yeah, John Carter. Remember when he went, he was kind of like teleported from that cave. Remember he went into the cave and he found himself over there. And the funny thing about it is as soon as he tried to walk, he's like bouncing. He's like leaps and bounds. And he found he had so much more power. Why? Less gravity. You know, he could do things. You're strong because he was considered an average man on Earth, but when you got there, gravity was so much lighter or easier that he had to figure out how to control himself in order to not be able to do that. And of course, he was a lot stronger and stuff like that. Yeah, the princess of, remember, this is Barsoom. Definitely a pretty lady, that's for sure. If I was that guy, I'd go there to be somebody like Medusa there. The Organ One says, passing by to say hi. Chris, and hi to all who smashed the like button. I can't stay rather, but I'm looking forward to watching this over the weekend. Keep up the great work, Chris. Appreciate it, dear Woken One. And I guess I don't know if you're working, you said just passing by, but I don't know if you're working or whatever, but have yourself a good weekend there, right? And appreciate you stopping by. Johnny backwards. Personally, if I got abducted by a UFO, I'd be ticked off if they turned out to be humans. Well, but just think about if they're so much more advanced, think about what they could teach you. And if they said, we're going to take you back to the planet, we're going to show you, you're going to probably be like, mind blown. So, yes, in a way, you'd be like, okay, the humans, right? But I don't know, if there was something way different than us, that might scare the living crap right out of you. I think Pete Ferriero said, I think Tesla was in contact with a Black Knight. Yeah, you're talking about Nikola. Yeah, here's the thing. It's like, remember he was talking about how he had his own, a receiver. He had his own radio. And it's like he thought he heard people talking. So is it that? To be honest with you, it might have been Mars. Think about that. We don't know. It might very well have been Mars, and we just don't know it. Lone Villain Inc. What's going on? He said, what up, Chris? Sitting watching the rain come over this San Cristo Mountains, bowl in hand. Coffee brewing, space talk. Life is good for the moment. I hear that. It's like the only escape we have, right? Get away from all of the hustle and bustle and BS. I'm not sure how you say that. T-I-J-L? Is it Till? Jill? You reckon the moon is artificial in place there, Chris? There is a theory that, well, I don't know about a theory, but speculation that it was, because if you go back to the ancients, there was a time before the moon, which is really weird, because they say, without the moon, the oceans wouldn't stay where they're at, which I don't believe that's true, because when the moon is on the other side of the Earth, you don't really see any problems with that, right? Water seems to stay in its place. I don't think it's actually an issue. I really don't. I don't think it's actually an issue at all. But if that's true, then it had to have come from somewhere else. And if it was dragged in, flown in, whatever it might have been, then they claim it might be like artificial type thing, right? It's like, what was that latest movie? What was it? The Moon. Really, really good movie. And it's like every conspiracy theory around the moon has been thrown into that movie. So it's like really, really cool. Good movie. Yeah, I wondered that too, Ricardo. You said, where's Kyle tonight? I wondered that as well. Steve Garnham, what's going on? Didn't even see you sneak in there either. Good to see you in there. Scott, you said moon not artificial at the time before the Earth solidified. Uh, it ejected the material which became the moon. I can buy that to a certain degree. That's what always been. We always heard that in history books, science, and stuff like that, right? Science books. If you look at the way Earth was formed, right? Now, a lot of moons are just like our moon. The difference is our moon is bigger than any other moon in the solar system around its parent planet. So it's a lot bigger. If you look at Earth and you just strip all the water off of it, it's not a spherical. It's more of a like oblong. It's not, and it's got indentions in it, meaning again, like if you go to the Marianas Trench, it's the deepest part. Well, pretty much the deepest part on Earth. So it's not a sphere. It's got, it's not perfect. Why isn't the moon like that? It's not just going to become a smooth planet. It's kind of like a lot of other planets where, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are mountains and ridges and stuff. We know that. Like a lot of the moons in our solar system, they have a lot of mountain ranges and a lot of other, crazy features, right? Highs and lows. Like if you look at the craters on the moon, they could be a mile wide or 30 feet wide, and they appear to be almost the same depth. A little crazy, right? And when you look at it, you see what I'm talking about. Get a real good photo from, I was going to say, what do you call it? One of the Apollo missions, but you're probably better off getting it from either the satellite itself. I'm drawing a blank on it. I'm trying to think. They had other ones too. They had some really good ones from, and I'm trying to remember which one it was. I don't know if it was Apollo 9 or 10, where they actually had some really, really good photos of the surface. And you can see these very large craters that are only so deep. The small ones were just as deep. Now, they have said at one point, because it was an active moon where it had lava and everything else, and they believe it bubbled up and then of course it collapsed in on itself. So this is where you get some of these, and that makes sense. But they're all the same? It's almost like taking a completely smooth sphere, and I've said this before, smooth, nothing on it, and then just like they just put all of these mountain ridges on it. It's what it kind of looks like. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying, but that's what it kind of looks like. It's just really weird. If you look at some of these very wide craters or collapse bubbles, if you will, lava bubbles, then just look at it. On the outside of the crater wall, it's smooth right there. Look inside the crater floor, it's the same. It's not higher or lower than the outside of the crater rim. It doesn't make sense. It's too perfect. It's almost like they're saying, just read up on the moon, just some crazy things that just don't make sense when you think of natural, right? There's Kyle. What's going on, Kyle? Oh, that's right. Did you already move, or were you in the process of it this week that just passed? Good to see you in there, regardless. Hope you're doing good. All right, Brian. You said getting past my bye-bye time. Watch the rest tomorrow night, Chris and friends. All right, Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being up here, man. Up here, in here, call it what you will. But good to have you in there. This thing just jumped at me here. Kathleen, you said the door video was excellent. Well, there's more to it than just that opening, right? I mean, there's so much more in that photo when you really bring out where they really try to lighten it up, darken it up a little bit. And there's so much more at that opening, if you will. Yeah. Exactly, MG you said, look at the Earth globe without water, if you can find one. It looks like a quarter of it was taken out in the Pacific Ocean. Exactly. So it's got like chunks literally missing out of the Earth, where how does a moon become perfectly round like that, but yet the Earth looks like a ball of cheese that got like bites out of it, you know what I mean? And it makes sense because it's a larger body in a sense, but you would think it would be smoother with all the volcanic activity and everything else. It would have pretty much smoothed itself out, but it's not. Robert Kermit Cole, what's going on? He said, hey, what's happening? Good to see you there, Robert. Let me see here. Let's jump into these here. Have you guys seen this? Ancient antenna found at the bottom of the Antarctica's sea. Altanum, I guess it's called, antenna. This is actually a pretty cool article. You can see it right here back in the day. Black and white. I'll actually make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Well, maybe. Right there. Because I know some of you guys are not on computers. So you can see like the older one here, black and white, and then you got the new one. I'm going, what? I've never seen this. Somebody mentioned it on, I think it was a Twitter channel anyway, or something like that. It says, movements in the Earth's crust meant that large parts of Antarctica were ice-free 12,000 years ago, and people could have lived there. Allegedly, a society could have existed before coming to an end with the last ice age, which froze over the continent, and this could have been Atlantis. So year after year, researchers in Antarctica discovered inexplicable riddles that astound Orthodox historians and archaeologists. From the rumored 3 pyramids that resemble the Giza pyramids to hundreds of weird objects spotted by satellite pictures, Antarctica remains the world's least visited region. Now, I've got an Antarctica channel, which is pretty cool. And the amount of stuff on one part of one of these islands is incredible. It's just so much stuff there to see. And so this is an artist's impression of how a city of Antarctica could have looked. No. Because like I said, I've seen the structures where we've taken it apart and it's just really wild looking. That's hardly surprising given that it is the most isolated location from any human civilization and is buried under at least 3 miles of ice, or about 5 kilometers, or about 5 kilometers. It's the coldest, tallest, windiest, and driest spot on Earth, making archaeological, excavation and investigation practically difficult without investing millions of dollars. It's no surprise that we know so little about it. Now, of course, they're talking about one of the pyramids here. A few years ago, an image appeared to show pyramids like Giza on Antarctica. The little we do know about it, on the other hand, is it's as perplexing as ever. According to the fossil records, Antarctica was a tropical paradise millions of years ago, covered with tropical rainforests, woods, lakes, plants, and all kinds of species. Now, I said that before. I had a couple archaeologists that had done some core samples, and when they did that, you could see like ice. You could see like ice, and it was like mud. And then, of course, there was all kinds of organics. You can see greenery, you can organics and everything. And then, of course, you can see the soil under that. So it was like a tropical land. So it's no doubt in my mind that people actually lived there. Now, of course, this goes back, hundreds of thousands of years ago. So is it possible, because some of the structures that we've seen looked like they weren't, if they were there for X amount of years, they were more high-tech than we have now, or at least the equivalent. So if they were there for at least 100,000 years ago, what's that telling you? Let's see. This has led many people to conclude that at this point in a distant past, Antarctica was home to Earth's oldest civilization, and that all of the bizarre findings made there were only reminiscence of its existence. I promise I'll get my tongue to work. Of course, scientists can't excavate 3 miles of ice and thoroughly investigate it, but does that imply no one knows what's beneath the ice? Apparently not. And of course, there's going on to talk about the Reis map, which you can see right here. Not sure why they didn't turn it the other way, but I guess it really doesn't matter. And this is mapped out by this gentleman before there was ice. So that's where it gets really, really crazy. You can see it right here, right? And it was before ice had formed. So the map's depiction of the North and South America in great detail was somewhat surprising, despite the fact that America had been discovered 21 years prior. It was not plotted with such clarity until much later. As a result, Reis's map is the earliest detailed map of the Americas still in existence. The map even includes the Andes Mountains, which Francisco Pizarro discovered 14 years later. So, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy, right? The fact that the Reis map indicated the continent of Antarctica, and not only that, but also portrayed it before it was buried in ice, astounded experts. No one could explain how this was possible, given that the mainland Antarctica was found in 1820 and was already covered with ice. But that's what I'm getting at. We don't know jack shit. We think we do. We don't know shit. Because here's proof to go against what they believe. And of course, we've been all taught this, but yet this contradicts what we've been told in school and taught and everything else, right? Apparently, Reis didn't create the map entirely by himself. Instead, he utilized the huge library of Constantinople, which was now in Ottoman hands. There, he discovered several antique maps from ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Greeks, and Indians, as well as 6 more sources that Reis did not wish to reveal. It's unclear where these civilizations got their knowledge of Antarctica's topography, when it wasn't covered in ice, and who the other 6 sources are. Now, if you watch this on the History Channel and say, well, the only way you could have done this is from the air, because think about it, how would you be able to map that thing just the way he did? And it's pretty much cut out like it should be, meaning it's just like you should find it without ice, and yet this guy did this prior to the ice sheet being there. And they said the only way you could do this was from the air in order to get I mean, how did this guy literally go over the whole Antarctic and find like this little area right here? I'm going to just go around it with my cursor right there and put it in the middle of the screen right there. How do you know all the ins and outs of these little pieces unless he went through the whole darn area? And how do you scale that map and get it just right? It's crazy. Many individuals assume that these civilizations learned this from far older origins, sources left by what may have been Earth's earliest civilization, the civilization that lived in Antarctica when there was no ice and the continent was warm and alive with life and vegetation. Yeah, it's just... Let me see. The Elton antenna, the USNS Elton, I guess it's called, the technologically advanced oceanographic research vessel, was built by the National Space Foundation of the United States in 1962. It was the world's first geophysical ship and was entrusted with investigating Antarctica and its surrounding waters. Over the next 2 years, the ship brought a wealth of previous unknown data and shed much light on our understanding of the region. There were, however, a few mysteries discovered at the ocean's depths. On August 29, 1964, the Elton was photographing the ocean floor west of Cape Horn at a depth of nearly 3 miles when one of the greatest mysteries of the Antarctic was discovered. What they discovered astounded them. They were able to photograph a strange structure standing in the middle of nowhere along the primary bare bottom of the sea. And that's what you got right there. Really, really crazy shit. Yes, Ricardo. Thank you again, sir, for your support. I always appreciate that. It says, Sarah Michael, well, I was saying, remember before I said Michelle, she was like, what? .org, the centering of Antarctica. In fact, let me see. I can also show the other channel that I have, which you can see her thesis on a lot of this. I'll have to go in there and find this. Let me see this, switch this. Nope, wrong one. Let's not do that. Let me see here. Switch account. Antarctica and its secret, hidden secrets. Let's do this. I'm going to give you guys this link here. You can check out everything there is to know about Antarctica. Especially our good friend, who's no longer with us, had done this thesis on this. And you can see I have a couple of them. And then, of course, I've done the full one, which is 7 months ago, put it together. The Centering of Antarctica, Sarah's thesis. And this thing is like 3 hours and 16 minutes long. However, I've made it like a scrolling book. So this thing, it just goes up like real slowly. Or you can speed it up with the settings in the actual screen that you're watching it in, right? And it's basically got some music in the background for you if you wanted to listen to it. But I'll give you guys the links if you want to check this out. Really, really cool. And you can subscribe to the channel as well. Pretty cool. It's just all things Antarctica. And as soon as I can figure out my way how to get back to this, I'm kidding, I can find it. Let me just get back to this. And go back to here. I'm going to drop the link in here. Let me see. Dropping the link now. Right there. You guys can check that out. I hear you, Josh D. He said, still get moist eyes thinking about Sarah. I agree. I totally agree with you. But there it is. If you guys want to check out the Antarctica channel, it's pretty cool stuff. The structure was 2 feet tall, symmetrical, and had nodules, spokes, and protrusions that ended in a spherical node. Now you can see it right there at each end of these things. They look like jacks. Remember the ball and jacks? It kind of looks like that there. It looked like an antenna of some type of signal transmitter. Imagine that, right? Scientists and researchers were stunned when the photographs were first published in the New Zealand Herald on December 5th, 1964, in the article titled Puzzle Picture from Seabed. What is the Eltonin antenna? Many people thought it was out of place item from the ancient civilization that previously inhabited the ice-free continent of Antarctica. They think this civilization left countless artifacts and structural remnants beneath the 3 kilometers of ice that currently covers the continent. Because the seabed near Antarctica is the only bottom that is not covered by ice, we can uncover evidence of their presence there. So, it says, is the antenna a sea sponge? Of course, experts are eager to deny the discovery, dismissing it as an undersea sponge. They stated that it looked depicted as this, and you can see it right here, marine sponge. Come on. Yeah, I guess if you stuck them straight out, it would look like that, but come on. They'll do anything to make people go, oh yeah, you're right, it's not that at all. So, and of course they're talking about, you can see right here, it says the idea had a number of flaws. Like I said, they're trying to deny it, but I still found that interesting, and I to be truthful, I've never heard of this. I never heard of this thing until now. I don't know if anybody else has heard about it, but yeah. Mars the Second Genesis. Hey, Chris, hope you are well. Just to let you know, and you guys, I am uploading a X3D episode of The Doorway. I show this this is a structure. Will blow your mind. Awesome. In fact, let me see this. Oh, hold on. If you're not familiar with Mars, the Second Genesis and his channel, I'm going to give you guys the link right now. Check it out. Go there. It does fantastic work. Check it out. Subscribe to his channel. Like him. I'm going to drop it right here, right now. There's the link. Check out his channel. Good stuff. And yeah, I'm going to check that out. Yeah, he said it's a sea sponge, LOL. Yeah, I know. Or is it swamp gas? No, that's just on the moon and on other planets. That's right. It's a swamp sponge. Oh, these guys are brutal. Gotta love them, though. All right. Habit Mars. Yeah, the sea sponge looks exactly like that to a blind man. Sorry, didn't mean to insult blind people. Even they can tell that it's not in a sponge. Well, I know, it's ridiculous. You know how these people are. John Shea, great question. He said, is it possible that it's an alien underground base? Sure. You know what I mean? To me, it's what it looks like. It looks like something that would transmit. It's what it looks like to me. Now, is it? Is it some kind of other instruments built into it? You know, temperature sensing, all kinds of other stuff for this thing. I don't know. But either way, that's not natural. Because they wouldn't be, think about it, even if it was that sea sponge, you think a couple of those would be not turned up, you know, or they'd be turned up rather. Some of them are going down in a different direction. They wouldn't be perfectly straight out like that? Come on. Mimi reacts, just rocks and dust. Tommy Bird, what's going on? He said, only closed-minded idiots deny the mountain of evidence that continues to be uncovered. I know, it's crazy. I absolutely believe that what Sarah came up with, they done soil samples there, and it's in her thesis. And that link I just gave you guys, you can check out the channel, subscribe to it, like I said. And what's funny about it is they said they had done soil samples there, and they found there was industrialization there. Which means what? Metals, constructions, all kinds of stuff. So these people had this, and this was like 95 to like 110,000 years ago. What? Yeah. Come on. I don't know if you've seen Brian. I don't know if you guys, well, a lot of you guys are familiar with Brian Cox. Maybe humans are the Martians. This is the first time I heard him say this. I don't know if anybody else has heard him say this, but check out what he had to say. Let me just go ahead and mute my mouth.
It's possible life began on Earth and was transferred to Mars or vice versa, because there are bits of Mars on Earth, meteorites, and there are bits of Earth on Mars. So we don't even know whether life began on Mars and then got sort of launched off the surface by some meteorite impact and landed on Earth, and we're Martians. We don't even know the answer. Where is the next civilization? And you can make an argument, just from looking at biology, the history of life on Earth, that civilizations might be extremely rare. There could be, on average, one per galaxy, perhaps, just a handful. And that's interesting because there are two almost mutually exclusive ideas there. There are 400 billion suns in the Milky Way galaxy, so we are physically insignificant on this world, there's no doubt. But imagine this is the only place where there are collections of atoms that can think and you know, build a civilization.
It is hard to get your head round the idea that, as you say, we are literally sort of microscopically small when you look at the universe in its entirety. But in terms of intelligent life forms, let's use that expression, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the correct answer is we don't know, which is why it's worth looking, and we do look.
So you are curious, obviously. My view, if I was to guess, if you forced me to guess, I would say there may be microbes all over the place. That's why we're looking for life on Mars, for example. But in terms of intelligence, just one thing to think about. The origin of life on Earth, it looks like we have good evidence life was present 3.8 billion years ago. And the first civilization to appear on Earth was about now, give or take. So it took the best part of 4 billion years
to go from the origin of life on Earth to a civilization. And that's a third of the age of the universe. And that is a long time. So that may indicate that microbes may be common, but things like us may be extremely rare.
Now, I don't agree with everything he says, although he does show you, talk about numbers, astronomical numbers of just suns out there. So that alone is crazy in itself. There's just, oh my God. And how these guys can think so, in the box instead of out of the box is crazy to me, right? How many of you guys think of what he's saying and going, really, dude? Excuse me. Oh, Renee V said it looks like there are buildings around those antennae. Well, they said it wasn't very tall, though, right? Mr. Jean Ward's in the house. What's going on, Jean? Good to see you in there. Guess I didn't see you when I started playing the video. Johnny Backwoods. I'm just happy they didn't say weather balloon for 1,000 times. Yeah, I know. You never know. Could be. Jerry Lahane, wait. This is all a dream, Auntie M. We're all in a dream. It's a seawater transceiver. Yeah, we don't even know if that's even, like, it could be something underground that's buried there, and it's just something that's just happened to be sticking out of the ocean floor. How do we know, right? Maybe there's actually, well, of course, we're going to get really sci-fi on you guys, but maybe there's like this kind of like dome city under the surface of the ocean floor, and this thing's just sticking out there. And keep in mind, how low were the oceans back then? Way back when. Oops. Ricardo, yeah. I agree with you. You said, took this Cox long enough to get to that position publicly. I emailed him about this exact subject 8 years ago. I mean, how can you be, again, you're a scientist. Now, don't get me wrong, you go by just what, is noticeable and seeable and everything else, and by testing and so on. But, I mean, you don't have to be, I mean, how many suns did they say there was? There's like millions of suns in this one area alone. And you only believe, oh, well, the only ones that have maybe microbes or whatever that are able to build and, that are collective and they can build. And what? Come on, man. It's almost like these guys know, but they don't want to let it on. I mean, this guy's got to know whether there's life out there or not. Common sense. As far as I'm concerned, he knows. Marina, you said, I disagree with Brian Cox. We humans can have different origin. Not only Mars, we came from different stellar civilizations. Yeah, I mean, again, even if we were to go by the Big Bang, if we were to just go that route, even, we're all made of star stuff, carbon-based life forms, everything on the planet is, but this was scattered throughout the universe, so it just happened to die and not make it to other planets, and we're just lucky enough to be here? I don't think that's the case. I think there's something very similar to us. I did this, don't get me wrong, there could be a lot of variants. And I believe, like the animals here on this planet, there might be something very similar on other planets, depending on how they evolved on that particular planet. Maybe there's a little less oxygen. Maybe there's more oxygen. Maybe there's more of something else, another gas that somehow the thing can still breathe in it. Who knows? Maybe there's a combination of these gases that allow this creature to live, but if it lived on Earth, it would die instantly. Just like we would die on other planets instantly. We don't know. We're just assuming, and we're going by what we've been taught. But if you go back in school, when you were in school, they told you, oh, Mars is a dead planet, nothing ever lived there. But yet we're seeing much different now. So you have to wrap your mind around this, because again, you've been taught nothing's there, cold dead planet, barren, dusty, pretty much that's it. Okay, so why are we seeing the things we're seeing on this planet? Well, it goes against what I've been taught, and sometimes your mind has a problem wrestling with that until you finally go, no, I've seen enough in these photos to know that my mind now has been changed. There's no doubt in my mind that Mars once had a civilization, and a very, it was a civilized civilization. It wasn't some, some bunch of little creatures or something running around. These were like actual, beings that could build. Tom Siracusa, what's going on? He said, hi, Chris. What's going on, Tom? Good to see you in there. Marina, you also said, in our age of the universe is much bigger. I agree with you. Kurt Abanis, what's going on? Live long and prosper. Well, you can stick your thumb on too if you want to, but yeah. Awesome. James Cragen, thank you again, sir, for your support. I do appreciate you. He said, Chris and friends, check out Daniel Sheehan, and constitutional attorney and the high Jewish priest in relation to the relation to the history of the UFO on the top ace. You don't have a link to that, do you? Because you always put the link there, just in here, just kind of break it up a little bit. This way, I won't see it as a a link, or like an email link or some kind of other link. I won't see it as that. You just break it up a little bit. Colin Barry said on moon anomalies, I saw that same antenna, I'm sorry, has to be either alien or old Nazi communications from the underground base they had. That's a possibility. Remember, they were up there too. They were in Antarctica. They were checking things out, and you just don't know, right? Elaine, what's going on? I thought I saw you up there. I was just going down here because this thing jumped on me again, and I went, what the heck? And then I looked. Inhabit Mars, you said, my friend Bruce, that thing went away, it jumped on me. My friend Bruce is a geologist, paleontologist, and paleobotanist, PhDs in all three. He discovered the Cydonia complex on Earth, which is an exact replica or predecessor to the one on Mars. Yeah, there is a link to them, right? It's just really wild the way that looks. Jonathan jumped in there too. I didn't even see him jump. Jonathan Waddell, what's going on? He said, hey, Chris and everyone. Good to see you in there, Jonathan. This is what I found another version of the triangle UFO footage that was apparently deleted. I can't find it anymore, but I downloaded it as soon as I found it. Now, this is another video. Let me see if I can get this here. Let me see. Let me start this from the beginning, guys, from full screen. Probably should have got my fat head out of the way. Let me see something. I want to do right about here. Because this is when they start to actually zoom this in. Now, folks, when you see this thing, watch when you get right up to it. I can see the triangular shape right there. You can see the body of this craft. Let me turn that down. But check that out. What is going on there? Watch this when they zoom into this thing big time. Here it comes. You can see the actual shape of that thing right there. That's crazy. I'm not sure what to make of that, whether that's true or not, but I thought that was pretty interesting. See, but here's the thing. You don't know whether this is the real deal or not, but you can see the shape of that thing. It's not like, it'd be one thing if you just seen lights, you go, yeah, not feeling it. But you can see it's in the darkness, you can see how it has the body. It's darker than the actual darkness of the sky. You can literally see that thing. So whether that's true, is it real? I don't know. But it looks authentic. Now there's another one I have too. I have to try to find it. Did you guys see this? A large tsunami shock wave on the sun? This is actually pretty cool. Let me do this. Whoop, a little too much. Check that out. And here's the thing. It's not like it's a... let me see something. It's not like a CME because you don't see anything blasting out from the sun. You just see a very hot spot. But look at the way that thing kind of whoosh, like it just kind of goes out in a wave like 360 degrees. See it? That's crazy. You guys think of that? That's wild. Let me see what that's at. That's 150. Let's do this. But that's just crazy right there. This person put, the sun is a ticking time bomb. A ticking bomb, rather, nobody is thinking of. Yeah, John Shea, that's what I was just saying. You can see the darker, you can see the actual body of the craft. You know, it's darker than the actual sky itself. That's what I found interesting. So, I thought that was pretty cool. Well, this was actually, he might have gotten it, MG Toe, but this was actually on Twitter itself. So he might have just scoffed it off of, what do you call it? He might have just gotten it off that person on Twitter, like I am here now. So, yeah. I'm trying to remember if this is Tom Saracusa. You said, Chris, care to talk about the fake asteroid supposedly heading to Earth? I think it's all bullcrap. Which one are you talking about? Is it something that's recent? Now, we did have one that just passed Earth not long ago. And of course, it's a good distance away. They make it look like it's going to like literally like brush our atmosphere. But there's some of them later in the future that's going to come real close to Earth. One or two of them they thought was going to actually slam Earth. But now, after their calculations, they thought, no, that's not going to happen at all. But I'm not sure exactly which one you're talking about. Is it something recent? Ricardo, you said the TR-3B is painted in Vanta black. Yeah, I mean, it's blacker than black, right? It's like almost, it's like a flat black, I think. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Let me see. There's another one too. I got one that same. This one here is kind of wild. I don't know if you guys seen this. I found this video titled "Shot Down Crew Escape." Now I'm thinking to myself, how silly is this? This looks like a frickin' meteorite crashing. But get a load of this. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Let me go ahead and. I think the sound of this. I can't be sure, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it up anyway. I'm going to turn it up. Now watch this. I'm going to get myself out of this picture. Watch this thing as it's blazing across over the pyramid, right? And then watch what happens after. This is wild.
I sure hope somebody else is getting this video a little bit closer to me.
That's pretty much end of it, even though it's showing, look at it, it's only into 38 seconds into it, and the rest of it is just, it doesn't do anything, it's just pretty much black. But let me show you again what this thing does. It's just really wild. You see this thing blazing across the sky, all of a sudden you see this dot shoot back out of the backside of it, go in the opposite direction. What's up with that? Watch this, it's like boom, you can see it actually like go into a wave type thing, and then you see this thing kind of break out of there, right there, and flies off. What is going on there?
I sure hope somebody else is getting this
That's
video
pretty
a little bit
crazy if you
closer.
ask me. Yeah, I think that's pretty wild. And the rest of the video is pretty much blank. I don't know why they did that. See it right here? We're only like that's like a minute into it. Look at it. It's 3 hours and no 3 hours. 3 minutes and 17 seconds. What's up with that? But regardless of that, I thought that was pretty interesting. I haven't seen that. I stumbled across this one here on Reddit, and of course you guys will get all the links to this. You guys know that, right? Let me see something here. Let me turn this on here. Okay. So of course people are they're trying to figure out this right here. They're trying to pull this apart, which, and I understand that. People are going to say, listen, I'm, you know, like me, you go, well, I'm a bit dubious about the thing, and I don't know if it's true or not, because you don't know whether any of this is real or not, right? Ricardo, black screen of death. I guess it's better than the blue screen of death. Well, I guess either way, it's weird. But yeah, Johnny Bagwich said trippy as F. Yeah, is all frickin' Hoffen. Yeah, looks. But that's weird. It's like going. At first, I'm looking at this thing. I'm going, these people are stupid. I mean, I'm going. It's a friggin', you know, it's a meteor shooting across the sky or something like that. And then I looked. I went, what the heck is that coming off the backside, going in a total opposite direction? That's weird. It's almost like you see the way they put shot down, crew escape, like it's been shot, and this thing has like a little escape pod and takes off the opposite direction. Really weird if you ask me. Now, is it real or fake? I don't know. I don't know if you guys, population collapse is the biggest threat to civilization. Now, Elon talks about this, and I agree with him, because remember I said that before, and they were saying, I forgot what scientists or whatever had said this, whoever said this before, they said where, you know, a civilization gets so big that it can implode, and it can actually collapse in on itself. And he's talking about this very thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get myself out of here. I'm going to play this for you guys. I forget it's not very long. It's like 1 minute and 22 seconds.
Assuming that AI is fine, assuming that AI is there's a benevolent future with AI, I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. Collapse.
I agree.
I want to emphasize this. The biggest issue in 20 years will be population collapse. Not explosion, collapse. It's very easy to see what the world will look like in 20 years because humans have a 20-year boot sequence. So like you say, okay, well, who was born last year? Okay, now you know what the world looked like in 20 years. It's that easy.
I absolutely agree with that. The population problem is going to be facing huge challenge. 1.4 billion people in China sounds a lot, but I think next 20 years we'll see this thing will bring big trouble to China, and the population decreasing of the whole, the speed of population decreasing is going to speed up. And you call it collapse. I agree with
accelerating
that.
collapse.
Accelerating collapse.
Accelerating collapse. And then the common rebuttal is like, well, what about immigration? Like, from where? You know?
Yeah, you want to go to space, you know, the Mars will immigrate.
Yeah, Mars
the
needs
aliens
people
here,
too.
probably.
Like, Mars needs people. Yeah, Mars needs people. You know, there's 0 people there right now. So right now it's a machine planet. There's only some robots there.
This
at some point, unless we change our population, this is the reason why they were going about it the wrong way, although they were saying they want to have population control. They want to, Dick Cheney was saying they want to cut it back by like 80% of the population. Hence you have all of these, like these viruses and everything coming out. Why? Think about it. Again, add the numbers. How many people have died from this COVID alone? Friends, family, people you didn't know, whatever. How many people have died from COVID alone? And I've said this before, it's not just them. Let's say there's women out there that they probably would have been moms in the future. Well, they no longer have kids, and those kids no longer have kids. So you didn't kill one person, you killed generations upon generations. It's not just one person you killed. You killed many generations. Therefore, don't have to pay for their retirement. We can cut down the food supply. There's not as many people eating off the power supply, using the resources, so on and so forth. So that wasn't just a thing to kill off some people. It goes much bigger than that. And you got to look at as it rolls along, like I said, you're killing off generation, and then of course you've got, like I said, you've got, they won't be driving. They won't be using resources. They won't be eating. They won't be doing any of that. So you're cutting back the population, and it's funny enough, everything keeps coming back out. All these different pox now coming out. We've had AIDS, all kinds of stuff from the 80s, and it's been killing people since. I mean, all of these things is to curb the population, if not cut it down big time, and we're seeing that now. It's what it comes down to. This is the reason why you see a lot of crime go on, and there's nothing really done about it. Why? Oh hell, if in the United States alone, if 10,000 people or 5,000 people get killed off in a lifetime, oh well. Not in a lifetime, but in that year, oh well, it's, those people again, whether they're moms, dads, they won't produce it, so therefore, well, get them off, they won't be, like I said, using resources, whatever, and we don't have to worry about them. We don't have to pay for the retirement. Oh, it's a sweet thing. James Cragen, thank you very, very much for your support, as usual. Continue supporter on the Super Chat there. He said, did it used to break through our atmosphere? Did it use it to break through? Yeah, it's a very good possibility. Maybe it's kind of like a shell, something like that, because the actual pod would have burned up and they probably wouldn't have been able to make it through. Although I would think if they got the technology, you would think that they could. So maybe it was actually shot down and they escaped from it. I don't know. Kind of weird, right? At first I thought when I saw that video, I expected it to just kind of like fall apart as it was going across the sky. That's not the case at all. Well, it looks like bits and pieces were coming off. But then you see this thing actually just take off out of it. I'm like, what is going on there? That was crazy. Jonathan Waddell, he said, the one child per family in China. I think they bumped it up to 2 though, right? I know it was 1 at one point because they got such a population explosion. At some point, we're going to annihilate ourselves. We're going to implode. There's no way around this. And that's another reason why we need to go to Mars and stop becoming spacefaring. But I think, and I've said this before, if we could be alive in, let's say 150 years, I actually feel bad for our family, descendants. And everybody here should feel the same. Think about this a minute. Your grandkids, right? They're going to be in the future. And I think what this is going to be the forgotten planet. In other words, again, they're not going to carry people over to Mars that are going to be criminals, the unhealthy. You're going to be rich. You're going to try not to make the same mistakes you made here on Earth. So this is going to be basically like the prison planet or the shit planet that they forgot about. And they're going to start anew, like a utopia on Mars, where you're not going to make the same mistakes. Therefore, you won't have, like I said, crimes, and you won't have this, that, and the other, like we do here on Earth. And if you don't, you're dealt with swiftly. Maybe you're just cast out into space, and that's the end of it. There is going to be no prisons, no none of that. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be like the creme de la creme of people going to Mars. I don't think it's going to be just you and I, everyday schmoes, going there. And, I think this is going to be, like I said, they're going to be like, well, if that planet should die off, at least we're here on Mars doing solar and whatever else, and we're able to live better here, and, whatever. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Can you just picture, if we didn't have any of these diseases or anything out there, think about this over the years. No pox, you know, no kind of anything like that back in viruses and stuff was killing people off majorly. Can you imagine the population today? Think about that. It would be like, if you ever seen Soylen Green, you know what I'm talking about. Alien Tenno, what's going on? I haven't seen you jumping there either. So wait till they release Ebola on the world. Well, that's what I'm saying. Think about this a minute. If, you know, just envision, like I said, if there was no such thing as viruses or anything, and you just died of natural causes and not by some virus or some cancer or something of that sort, picture that. What this population would look like today. That's insane. It'd be crazy. Exactly, John Ward. You said, I agree with you, Chris. It's going to be terrible for future people. I don't see it getting any better. I see it getting much, much, much worse. I don't envy the people that'll be alive in 100 so years from now. I don't. You know what I mean? Even 50 years, once these people start going. But I'm talking about like they're well established, good civilization on Mars. I don't see it. Here it's going to just, you know, unless they can take the majority of people, keep flying them over there, because maybe they got huge structures and, you know, it's a big, you know, they got cities upon cities up on Mars. I don't see it. I really don't. Because you'd have to take at least quarter of the population here to ease the burden of the resources being used, the food being used up and everything else. You can't grow it fast enough. So if you look at, like I said, the movie like Soylen Green, although it's different circumstances, still, like you got like a bottle or a jar of olives, they were like $500. Why? Because it was getting so scarce. Soylen Green was actually people that were dying. So they were cutting up people and putting them in jars and then selling them to the people. Super cheap. Why? Because people couldn't afford the olives and the normal stuff you would buy. So this guy, and I forgot who the actor was. You guys could probably tell me who it was. I just had it. And was it McDowell? You know, I'm trying to think if it was him or not. It's been so long since I've seen it. But I remember him looking, it was like real late at night, and he was looking at the garbage trucks, and there's people who died of disease or whatever. You know, they were seeing them here. They're throwing them in these garbage trucks, and they were bringing them to a plant. And they were bottling, they were chopping you up and then, you know, whatever, and they were bottling you up and selling you, and that's what Soylen Green was. And yeah, the Omega Man too, another good one. Although the Omega Man, he wasn't, I think you're talking about the same actor, but it was different as far as the plot, right? They were basically diseased and everything else, and he had to go to different places and scavenge for food and everything else. Heston. I don't know why I was thinking of McDowell. Alfie Joe Bob, thank you. Heston. And that's what I'm saying. A great actor, by the way. Planet of the Apes and everything else. Or was that him? Am I confusing him? But regardless of the fact, you know, it's going to get to that point. Trust me when I tell you, I don't see it getting any better unless they're making GMOs a lot more. You know, genetically modified, or, well, either way, it's got like growth hormones and everything else to make these things grow a lot faster. And I can't see that as being healthy. I don't see it going well, right? I like what you're saying to James Craig and Jean. I'm not going down easily, that's for sure. Alien Tenno said our mission is to get off this planet. Well, to ease the population, but it's going to take a good couple hundred years before you can start saying, okay, we're now fully established, big city on Mars, and like I said, they're not just going to welcome anybody on this planet. I can almost guarantee you that. And like I said, younger, the healthier, the wealthier, you're not going to see just like everyday people like you and I going there. Unless, of course, because in the very beginning, they're going to have people that have good trades, whether, you know, so you can work on the planet. You can bet on that. To construct, you know, electricity. You've got, you know, obviously your structures for construction. But you've got, you know, working technologically, so on and so forth. That's the kind of people are going to be there, healthy people that are going to be there. You know, they're going to want to have a nice gene pool up there. So everybody's healthy when they do have kids and everything else. Alien Tanner says Soylen Green sounds like a Mars terraforming project. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Renee V. said, okay, Chris, Utopia on Mars, but that's also broken and then back to Earth and then back to Mars again. See, I think that might have happened in the past. We might have been, like I said, coexisting on both planets at one time. Then it died off, got hit, whatever, a large catastrophic event. We're only here, and this is, of course, I'm not saying back then it was like we are today, but there was people on this planet, back and forth, we could do that, and then, of course, then it's happened to Mars, and of course, obviously the people died on there, and then we're only left. We didn't have the technology, we're now slowly coming back up. Because every time we do this, we have a catastrophic, well, yeah, I guess we could call that catastrophic event. We have this event, pretty much almost kills off the population, we build back up again. Different technology, maybe better technology. Well, gets killed off again almost. And then we keep doing this. We have these waves of life and death kind of situations till we finally come up. So the only way to do it, like you said earlier, it was to just say, hey, listen, this is our future is to get off this planet. You got to be on 2 or many other planets so you'll survive. But what happens to the old planet, the original planet? I think it's going to be like some kind of like I said, it's going to be like a prison planet kind of thing, or people starving to death. Unless, of course, like I said, they get the people off this planet onto another planet, or at least, let's say, quarter of the population, which is a shit ton, right? But if you can get that, it alleviates, the strain on the food, situation, the resources and everything else. So it makes a big difference. I don't know. Well, you're saying the Garden of Eden? I don't think it was the Garden of Eden, Nicholas Snyder. And by the way, what's going on? I hope you're doing well. He said, so basically you believe Mars was the Garden of Eden. Now, some people have actually said that because it was like Earth at one time. They claim that. So it might have been at one point. Some people speculate that it might have been the Garden of Eden, so to speak. I'm not sure that's the case, but if we started life there and ended up here, the theory of panspermia, if that happened, then we are actually Martians indirectly. Now, if not, we might have had both civilizations at one time, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and we just don't know, at least the public doesn't know, our actual history. And maybe we were coexisting. We were both on Mars and Earth at the same time, way back in the day. And then, like I said, it had its event, but I think that was much more recent as far as what happened to Mars, much more recent than they're claiming, millions of years ago, there was maybe microbial life, whatever. Judging by what we're seeing in the pictures, because again, windstorms, there are rains, there is an actual, what do you call it, water cycle on Mars. So, you got moisture, and of course you got brine, which is also highly salted water. You got wind, so you got wind erosion, you got salt. So unless every bit of metal that they've ever made is like something that's, it doesn't rust or rot away, then that's really recent. Within the last 100 years, 150, 200 years. That's not something that happened millions of years ago. Because even if it was 500 years ago, you think it'd be pretty much eroded, anything sticking out of the ground by now, whether it's wind erosion, rust, whatever it may be. California, proletarian? I don't think superimposing Judeo-Christian superstition upon observational science is intellectual. What part are you actually talking about, though? Because I want to be precise. I want to be on the same page as you. Exactly what I had said. Because here's the thing. I mean, yeah, it depends on what was said. I'd have to think about that. Renee V said, and so it goes, and then you have the real elite who are in spaceships that came from Mars on Earth, and then they look a little different than people, but believe they know NASA. Well, that's a good possibility. I believe they do know, And I think they do know the history of man, if you go back. And they probably know everything there is to know. Because here's the thing. Even if we were totally ignorant, let's say nothing, we are what they claim. In other words, through evolution, stages of evolution, we are who we are today. Animals are who they are today. Carbon-based life forms, so on and so forth. Let's say that's completely separate from anything on Mars. Nothing ever happened, no interaction, no nothing. They know for a fact there was something up on that planet. This is the reason why they're there. It's not just about finding, building blocks of life or some proof of maybe some microscopic or macro or any of that sort. We're going to be there just for that reason. They're not there for that, just like they weren't there for the moon. The moon was something totally different. The PR part of it, like I said before, was the moon rocks, the dust, so on and so forth. That is for you and I to go, ooh, they actually made this, big, step for mankind onto the moon. Ooh, that's amazing in itself, which it was. Don't take anything away from the astronauts. But now imagine they're not going there for the rocks and dust, although they did bring some back, which were questionable. But let's suppose they were going there for something much more than that. And through their pictures, they were. That's a fact. Many things I found in these pictures, 100%, they were there for something totally different. There was alien structures or alien something that's not ours on the moon. Same thing with Mars. It's no different. So they know for a fact there's much more to our history, or at least there's been people occupying the solar system. We're not the new kids on the block. There's people, well, we may be the new kids on the block, but there was much older people or civilizations long before us. Turklerin, good to see you in there. He said, I think Elon Musk is not talking about moving to Mars, but more have 2 planets we can live. I think this would be nice to have extra vacation home, which is true. Like I said, we'll be coexisting at some point once we get a good stabilized civilization. I'm not just talking about just the astronauts going and doing some, scientific studies, geological or whatever it may be. I'm not talking about just that. I'm talking about an actual city on Mars where they actually build and more and more people can go and everything else. But it's not going to be like you think, like you said, it'd be nice, like extra vacation home. You can go there when you want to, fly back and forth. This is going to be hundreds of years from now. At least a couple hundred years, I think, like I said, 150, maybe 200 years, where you got to remember, they're going to go up there just to fart around, check out whatever's up there, blah, 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 blah. Then they're going to build, obviously a city, mini city for these scientists. They're going to do their work. Okay, we've done all we need to do. How can we make power? How can we, harness any kind of wind that's on the planet? Or, solar obviously would be the biggest question. So they're going to have giant solar farms on there to be able to power, anything on Mars, which makes sense. Or they can make their own energy. They can already make their own oxygen through the technology. They've already done that. So they can do that. That's going to be, not out of the question. They're going to build a much larger device to produce a lot more oxygen. So it's going to be very slow going as far as that. So, but I think it's going to be accelerated by what's going on here on Earth, right? Kurt Abonish, there's a 99% chance of archaeological remains on Mars. Oh yeah. Johnny Backwoods, you said everything is mind-boggling. Just thinking about how vast the multiverse is now, I feel microscopic. You should, but you should also feel big. Because again, you're part of star stuff. You're part of what's out there. You are part of that. So in some ways you feel very big, but then you feel very microscopic. When he talks about like thousands of suns, or millions of suns rather, in just the universe, or parts of the universe alone. It's like, what? So if you've got millions upon millions of suns, okay, and if you have habitable planets around some of these suns, which you know they got to be, some of them, I'm sure a lot of these planets are in the Goldilocks zone of that solar system, you know there's got to be some kind of life, even if it isn't humanoid, or a person themselves, or some kind of weird, thing like that. Maybe small animals or whatever. But the evolutionary, you think they would evolve at some point, so on and so forth. And if it's a lot older planet, way out there in the universe, then you know it's probably surpassed us, became human, or whatever they were, technologically advanced, and now they just go all over the solar system and all over the universe like it's no big deal. It's like just driving from point A to point B like we do here on Earth. Turklerin, can we dump our nuclear waste on the moon? Well, yeah, unless you want it like Space 1999, where you just blow it to hell and it goes out of our orbit. That might be bad. Let's see. Yep, Mr. Seven Digit, what's going on? He said, and the world's governments will have already salvaged what they needed. Same thing they did on the moon. It's no different. Same thing. They got what they needed, and they're probably still up there as we're talking now, and they're still going through everything that there is to go through up there. Again, reverse engineer, blah, 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 blah. This is where we're getting our technologies from. Not all, of course, because we can come up with our own stuff down here on Earth. But if you get any kind of, technology from something that was living, or probably many beings at one point coming and going along a course of time and years that came and went, and there's all different technologies up there, how do you know? We don't know what the government has at this point. John Ward said, good night, everyone. It was great to be in here again. Take care. Like I said, John, anytime you want to jump in there, just let me know. Just jump on in. Like I said, maybe next week if I got time to be able to do the live feed, which I'm going to try to, then we'll do that. We can jump in. You can jump in there. We can, chill and talk about the latest finds and everything else. Be good to have you in there. Anyway, have a good night. And, well, you're actually morning now, early morning. But have a good weekend there, right? Renee Cruz, Bazinga. Space ain't real. It's created in a Hollywood basement. I'm sorry you think that way. Not true. Let's see. I don't know if you guys seen this too. Breaking. NASA doesn't think that the InSight lander will make it out of 2022 alive. The solar-powered robot is covered in dust and approaching critical battery. I always flag BS on this because, like I said, same thing happened with the Opportunity rover. The dust. This is one thing I always thought was kind of silly. You can build, knowing that there's dust up there, dust storms, why would you put solar panels on anything, knowing that they could get covered? However, they do have, I said this before, on the very skins of these solar panels, they can set off electrostatic charge, which rejects and blows off this dust. Now, they should be able to do this on this InSight lander, as well as somebody said, what about some kind of like an airline, like an airburst? They can easily do it from this arm, just blow this stuff right off instantly. So what is the problem here? You're telling me these guys are this huge think tank, the smartest people probably to live, working in these departments, and they couldn't come up with, what if we were to blast this air off of this thing with an air burst and just to each of around this the solar panels, because there's two of them on this InSight lander. There's one round one on one side, one round on the other. Why couldn't they do that? It makes no sense. These are the smartest people going, and yet they can't figure this out. Come on. Or they want to do like China did, right? Well, Chang'e 3 is no longer functional, or was it 4? So we're going to have to go ahead and just, cease and desist. But then they said, wait a minute, it came back to life, but we're going to continue on. We're not going to, share anything with the public. Is it possible they're doing the same thing on this thing where they just go, okay, we've gave the public enough. We'll go ahead and just, say, well, we're having major difficulties, and, we're going to go ahead and just, say it's going to die, and that's going to be the end of it. Again, I don't know why they don't put a little power plant like they do on the rovers to just supply power to this thing for God knows how long. Instead, they're using solar power. And they say, well, it gets less sun. It looks pretty darn sunny there to me, if you ask me. I could be wrong here, but that's what I'm seeing. Cloud 33 Studios, what's going on? Good to see you in there. I don't know why your message was retracted, but that's what it's showing. Leslie Ann Warren, you said 23:30. Well, that's almost, well, heck, it's almost midnight for you then, Leslie Ann. NASA's InSight lander dead by this year's end. NASA announced on the May 17th that it expects the InSight lander mission to end this year, while it hasn't gone as much attention as the, this guy was saying, a brush. 830 million in a decade sunk into an awesome project. All it needed is a brush, which is true. It just doesn't make sense. So that's why, right off the bat, you have to flag this. Like, listen. And I can see the way the sun is so bright there. Look at it. Look at the shadow under this solar panel. If it was real dim sun, you go, it kind of makes sense, right? Because if it hardly gets any sun, which doesn't make any sense because it does. But if it didn't, why would you put solar panels on this thing? And knowing that the dust could literally cover this thing, and again, they have a backup plan for that, so they can easily blast this off, whether it be an airline or electrostatic charge on these solar panels. I would think this thing would be already supplied. All they're going to do is just blow some air onto this thing and it's ready to go. That's the only thing I can think of. But yet, no, it's going to die. That's the end of it. It doesn't make sense. James, thank you again for your support, brother. I appreciate you. You said, Chris, I just need to clarify something here tonight. And that is, did someone say that there might be alien artifacts on Mars or the moon? There's definitely stuff on the moon and Mars. We know that, right? Judging by what we've seen in these photos. I'm not sure about any other talk here, but I believe that there's both, right? Remember we were talking about before how we never stop going. But there's much more stuff on there. They were there for that reason, to find out what else or who else lived on this moon. There's artifacts and there's all kinds of like these, like I said, there's dilapidated like spacecraft and these weird container-looking things on the moon. Now, is it possible it was ours, failed missions? Good possibility, right? Because before the public knew about it, they might have sent other crafts there thinking that, we got this down pat, we can land on there, it'll be fine. And it turned out it didn't. I don't know. But definitely much more stuff on the moon than people are aware of, as well as Mars, right? You're right about that, Tarkler, and you said smartest people is not always smart as we think. Well, I found that common sense is no longer common, right? I know people, and you know this yourself, you've seen this 100 times. Like when I was a tool setter, setting up machines and everything else, I remember these guys that worked on CAD on the computers, and they would build different parts of the parts you might need for your machine that you're working on. Maybe something broke. It was a cam, it was a gear, it was a die, a cutter block, or whatever it might have been. They would sit on there. I'm going to go ahead and put this on there. Well, they're not taking into consideration this wear and tear in this machine, so it's no longer, very tight in the slots and everything else that these slides work in. The tolerances are totally different. So even when you tell them that, we're just going to make it to spec. So you'd have to take it back up to machine shop. Hey, I cut this off and cut that off. It's brand new. It should be the perfect size if the machine was new. But no common sense, right? They go, oh, we just build it the way it is, and that's the end of it. Okay. Inhabit Mars, good question. He said, on Insight, do the motors still work that unfurl the solar panels in the first place? Why not just furl them up and the panels and then reopen them? That would surely remove some of the dust. Yeah, you would think if they even had like a rubber piece, so as it went along, it just stepped down to each. You can see how that's like it opens up like a Chinese fan kind of thing, almost like that. They're like overlaying each other. So if you were to close the biggest one at first, and then it had like each one of these had like a little brush, literally swept it onto the next solar panel, onto the next solar panel, onto the next, until it's onto the last one, and then, you know, reopen it, it would have dumped all the dust off. But I think this arm here actually has an air line on it, where you can just shoot air off this thing, and it would be fine. Again, I don't know why anybody would come up with such a high-tech piece of machinery to throw up on Mars, only to go, darn, man, how come you guys didn't think of the air hose thing? A bunch of dumb shits. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, there's Cloud 33. Yeah, what's going on, Cloud? Good to see you in there. James, again, thank you. You said, definitely, man, look at your vids. End of story, man. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to see in these things. It's not even funny. And you can see just, here's the thing. Let's say we didn't find a thing in these photos, ever. Here's the thing. Knowing that they are manipulating, obfuscating, and censoring them in one shape or form of another, you know darn good and well they're trying to hide something in these photos. It just makes no sense. So that alone should red flag anybody. Forget about finding any of these photos, which we have found tons. Let's just push that aside a moment. Just the fact that they're doing that should raise red flags. Just that alone. Kurt Bonus, great question. He said, what would NASA be in 1969 without Werner von Braun? Yeah, exactly. I mean, he basically brought real rocketry here to the United States, right? And yeah, absolutely. Leslie Ann, you taking off? Well, you have yourself a good night, and thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Nighty me, Mr. Going Nighty Night. Love you all. All right, well, you have yourself a good one, right? Have yourself a good one. Custom Tailored One, what's happening? He said, hey, everyone. What's going on, man? Good to see you in there. Johnny Backwards, you said the software puts the nail in the coffin. Well, again, just hiding that stuff. Then when you start bringing out the stuff that's being hidden under it, you start seeing a whole lot of weird stuff going on. Like I said, my next video, like I said, probably in the beginning of the week. Can't tell you exactly when. Like I told you in the last video, I don't want to promise anybody anything because I don't want to let people down and say, oh yeah, it's going to be an exact day this, and I don't want to do that to you. I'm working on time when I can get some of these things done and when I can't. So it's hard to tell what's going to happen and work one day from another. Although a lot of times it's uneventful and it's not a big deal, right? But, and then sometimes it's a pain in the rear end. You know how that goes. Everybody who works knows that's a fact. But yeah, so hold on. So again, like I said, just the censoring alone, red flags. But like I said, that video, when I do come out with it, is it really a hill? Is it really a mountain? I'm not so sure about all that. Adam C. said, there's a reason why they make everything complex, so no one joins the dots and they look like they are controlling the show, but they are far from the top of the food chain. Got that right. Yep. Renee V. said, you have a group of special people on the chat. Chris, beautiful, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's good people on this. I've always said that. We always got like new people jumping on board too. Which, if you are new here, thanks for being on here. Because a couple of you guys said, "Oh, it's the first time I've been on this." So I'm glad that you did. I mean, it's just awesome. I hope you subscribed and everything else. And of course, make sure you hit the notifications and make sure it says all, and you can be notified when the next video comes out. James Cragen, you said, Chris, do you think that the crafts with the huge lights positioned on each side of the vessel, etc., might be man-made? As I wonder why the ETs would actually need huge lights to see parts of the galaxy. I've often said the same thing. Here's another one. I think this is the last video I've got, where this is, to me, as far as I'm concerned, is crapski. Watch the video and you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't know if they actually talk in this one too. Let me see here. Let me mute myself here and get rid of myself. That didn't sound good at all, did it? I'm just going to off myself. Hold on.
Doesn't look like a plane. From here, it looks like a triangle.
It is a triangle with a red light in the middle.
Wow. Wow. That's a weird looking craft.
It is. The red light is right in the center of the triangle. That's unusual. That is weird. Now this is where you need to zoom in.
There's something right beside that tree. There's stuff moving in the bushes beside it.
That is amazing.
It didn't have a tail, that's what I noticed.
No, it didn't. Zoom in. That's unusual. That is weird.
Okay. Let me turn her down here a little bit.
Now this-
I find this interesting because to me it just screams drone.
weird.
You guys see the same thing? When they look up, I mean, but watch the red light. It actually blinks, blinks, blinks. Then all of a sudden it appears to stop or blink differently. Now maybe because of the trees and the branches that are it's going by. But to me it looks like it's a regular plane or some kind of weird, but it's not. It actually has the three lights, but it looks like the one in front has gone out. You don't really see it now. Maybe because it's off in the distance. Let's go back over to here.
It is.
See it? Right there.
The red light is
You can see the three of them.
right in the center of the triangle. That's unusual.
The thing to me, that looks like more like a drone
Weird.
than it looks like a spacecraft. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, it must be the angle the way this thing's facing, but it's moving too slowly. It's kind of weird, and it's got that flashing red light. Like you said, great question was, why would they have flashing lights or anything at all? But maybe when they go down to it, here's the thing. Maybe it's just as simple as this. Maybe when they go to their planet, if this is legit, that is, if they go to their planet, they're going to have to see when they land, or go into a larger craft, or underground, or any of that sort. Now, you would think that they wouldn't have to do that, but I would think, they'd need light, like anybody else, It's like, you got sunlight. You think you'd have regular light so you can see your way around, even if you were high-tech. You think, well, maybe they just run off like a radar and they can just go into anything they need to and not have to worry about seeing anything. In other words, it's all by radar and high-tech stuff. But you'd think they'd have to do the same thing. Kurt Abana says, blinking every 1.25 seconds. International Convention on Aircraft Polar Lights. Coincidence? Well, I find it interesting. I thought that one there was really weird because of the way the thing it just blinks the way it does. But it seemed like it blinked a little weird in the beginning. And then...
It is a triangle with a red light in the middle.
See, it looks like there's one, it's like almost more solid. You guys see that? Watch this. Right here, there's a light, there's 1, 2, 3, you can see it. Now watch, that light still stays on, and then one, all of a sudden that one between the two goes off and then it starts blinking. Watch this. See it? It's still there.
It is a triangle.
There's like 4 lights, and then it goes, that one disappears, and then all of a sudden you see the flashing red light. See it? Is that weird or what?
It is.
Or is it
The
possible...
red light is right in the center of the... It is a triangle.
There's like 3 lights and then a flashing light. Then that little one between there goes off, and then that one's more pronounced. Is that weird or what?
The red light is right in the...
That's what I was thinking, Ricardo. Is it possible it's a drone and not a...
center of the triangle.
All right, she should shut up.
That's unusual.
Very good, it's in the center. But here's the thing, like I said, you see that right there, it's 3 lights. All of a sudden you see, they still see the flashing light, then that other third one goes out, and then you see the red one more pronounced. Right there. That is just weird. It doesn't look like the craft makes a tilt or anything like that. It just seems to stay where it's at, and yet you see that. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Grittabana says triangular drone replica. It could very well be. Could very, very well be. Shrink me down a little bit. But it's just really weird how it was actually 4 lights, one between the other 2, and then all of a sudden that one went off, and you can see the red one more pronounced. And like I said, it's right around this right here. There it is, and then it switches off right there. There. So within a 10, 20, right about there. I mean, it's not making really erratic movements, which is kind of bizarre. You don't see that like moving and swaying or going back and forth. You don't see the 3 lights going back and forth. You don't see any of that. It's just kind of just going straight through the air. So that's a little weird. I mean, for all we know, it's just a very detailed, I want to say balloon, but I don't think that's the case either, because it'd be kind of like all over the place. It's just going in one direction slowly. See that? And it's got this flashing light. Tommy Jacobs says it might be an engine propulsion if it's a UFO. Very good possibility. I don't know. Kind of freaky, weird things, right? Metalhead, you said this object is large. I think it's manned. Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at that thing, it's way above the trees, and that thing looks like it's a good size. So whatever the hell that thing is, that's weird. And Habit Mars says, something's not right with this video. The trees are slightly more in focus than the craft. When the trees are in the center of the view with autofocus on, wouldn't the trees be more in focus than the craft? Well, they may be using a manual, focus. In other words, they're trying to focus more on the further object than the trees themselves. And of course, they'd be automatically blurred, right? So if they're using autofocus, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Obviously, the trees would actually come into view and be crystal clear, and anything beyond that would be, would be blurred out, you would think. Mazda second gen is swamp gas. Pretty much. Gertabana says, no extraordinary triangle speed or maneuver that goes against the laws of physics. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of just going right along. Again, if you think it was a drone, I guess you could just fly the drone straight, go slow with it, just let it travel along, nice and slow, and nobody be none the wiser. Be like, oh, UFO, look at that. It's got, I mean, come on. Everybody can make these things nowadays, let alone just buy it outright, right? So, yeah. Mr. Seven Digits said could be a Lockheed drone, but it does seem a bit more advanced. Yeah, I don't know. That one there is really 50-50 with me. Ricardo, he said it does make me think of the TR-3B, but it could also be a drone with same characteristics. I was thinking the same. It's that weird thing, man. It could be, now if it stopped and kind of hovered, it'd still be a drone, right? Unless, of course, you see it fluctuating in the air. But I think the further you go away, the more you probably wouldn't see that movement up and down. Closer, you would definitely see it, right? Turkler, you said there's a reason why NASA spends billions of dollars on Mars and not other planets. Why not go to a more interesting planet, water, planet Neptune, because of the tech to reverse engineer? Yeah, it's got to be something. Why go to a dead planet at all? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's closer, and we can build on it because you can still, like I said, you can still live on a planet with even gases that are poisonous to you as long as you're not breathing it. So if you were to build your own structure, put your own atmospherics in it, oxygen, whatever, then you can live there all day long. I don't care if it's got poisonous gas outside the building. Just hope nobody ever opens a window. I'm just kidding, of course. But as long as it's airtight, you won't have an issue. Tommy Jacobs, he said, thanks for including me in the conversation. A lot of people ignore newbies. I enjoyed it. There's nothing wrong with that. We'd rather have the new people come on board. And obviously if you're like-minded, we can pretty much sense that right away, or the way you talk, and whether it's questions, comments, or whatever. We'd rather have you on board if that's something you're interested in. So I'm glad you jumped on here. And I think you said you were one of the ones that said it was your first time on here. I'm glad you were able to join us. And I'm glad you were in the conversation. It's great. We accept all people here, man. We're not going to be like, oh, he's one of these guys, kind of thing. We don't. It's so childish. You know what I mean? So, yeah. John Shea said maybe their shielding is so good it doesn't matter. They can be seen. Well, I don't know, man. It's just like. I mean, it seems to be pretty decent quality, too, which is really weird. That's what makes me believe, because every time you see a UFO video, what is it? It always looks like garbage. It's either so far up in the air and people are trying to zoom in, so right off the bat, the photo breaks, it looks like garbage. So, you really never see anything clear. Well, here's the other thing. Depending on if it is, in fact, a drone, if you've ever heard a good-sized drone, you'd be able to hear that thing even that far up in the air. My buddy's got one of those, what is it, the DJ weird ones, the big white ones. Man, you can hear that thing way the hell up. He was flying that thing 500 feet, 750 feet in the air. Sound like a pissed off mosquito. And I could hear it way the hell up there. I'm going, God damn, that thing's loud. Now imagine something that big, which that thing, like we were talking about earlier, it's got to be of considerable size. I mean, it's way over the trees, and that thing is a good size, whatever that thing is. Well, see, that's what I was just talking about, Alien. I just got to your, Alien 10, I just got to your comment. You said, and there is no sound from this object? That's what I'm saying. It's just weird. Is it so far up in the air, if it was a drone, would you not hear it? You know what I mean? But this thing you can see is a good distance away, and it's quite large. And yet, they didn't say, oh, wow, we can hear it. Nothing. Sharat, I guess the name is. I saw something similar back in the mid-'80s, just hovering at night. No sound. Bright lights on the outside, a red circle in the middle. Can't explain it. See, that's a very good possibility. I don't know about the blinking. That's usually like a, basically airplane kind of strobe light, indicating light, or identification light type thing. So I don't know. That's just, I don't know. That one is 50-50 for me. The other one looked a little bit more believable because they zoomed in and you can actually see the body of the craft and everything else. Now, whether that was real or not, I don't know, right? Ricardo said, Chris, my pal has both the DJI, okay, man, 2 drone and the Skydio drone. Both are amazing, can fly pretty high. That's what my buddy had. He had, with the DJ drone, he had the double antenna kit you can get for it. So you can make this thing fly right out there. He had everything. He's paid extra money for this thing. I think they're normally what? To buy them out of the box and no extras, they're what? $750, $800. He had well over like $1,300 to $1,500 into this drone with all the little extras he bought. I'm sure you could buy more, but he bought just with the extras he had some money in this thing. Just crazy. Renee Cruz. Wow. Whoa, wow, a DJ with real DJ music. You hear it going by. It's like, oh, party over there. Oh, that would be funny. It's like, just kidding, they fly right up on the camera. Renee Cruz, he said, Chris said mosquitoes. The mosquitoes in the Philippines grow as big as hummingbirds and they attack you. I would imagine. Hey, they got to eat too, you know. Oh, easily, Ricardo. He said, Skydio drone will set you back anywhere between 3,500 and 20K. Well, it depends on what you want to throw into this thing, right? It's kind of like the DJ drones, even though they're smaller. You know, you can put all kinds of things on these things. I mean, it's just crazy how you can really modify them, make them better, faster. You ever see some of them racing drones? Oh my God, those things are insane. If anybody here hasn't given a thumbs up, please do so. Appreciate it. Just helps the algorithm in YouTube. I could probably do that, John Jay. You said, any chance you could take the sea tower scan into Photoshop sometime? I could probably try that. I don't know if I can find anything, but I'll try it. What the heck? You got nothing to lose, right? The only thing I found interesting, did you guys see this? When I showed you this, this is cool. Oh, what are you doing here? Okay. I'll just do it over again here. I found this is kind of weird. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but look at the very base of this thing. It looks like is it superimposed at the bottom there? Because see right there, the rest of it looks okay quality. You can see that, right? And then you look right there, it looks like it's kind of, I don't know if that looks solid. It kind of looks almost, it's just weird looking. Is it possible it's just something at the bottom of the base of it and it's just make it look like that? I don't know. Not a very good quality photo. That's the only thing that sucks. Let me see something here. And you see the bottom here, how it looks different and it's black and white compared to this. The other thing is too, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but these are turned differently. You guys see that? Look at this one here on the left. This one's going off in a different direction. This one's going off in a different direction. This is going off in a, compared to these. They're all in the same direction. They're all same position on this mast, if you will. On the body itself, the main straight body, these are in different positions. Does that make sense to anybody here? Yeah, I see what you're saying, John. You said in the black and white. The problem with it is black and white, and it's an older one. It's probably got real crap quality. It's hard to tell what it is, because if it's in the same area as this one here, really don't see a whole lot other than the ocean floor. It's really, really weird the way the base of this is right here. And like I said, these here, these particular protrusions are sticking out. They're in different positions on this mast. So what's the deal with that? Is it possible this thing actually turns or the individual pieces turn? I don't know. I agree, Ricardo. You said the one on the right looks, what do you call it, CGI? Yeah, because if you look at it real closely, look at this. Oh, we're going to have that stupid piece of shit come up. But here's the thing. Look around each of these appendages. You can see like a little bit of a fuzz. See that? So it looks like it's superimposed. Now, the bottom one doesn't look that way. But if you look up here, they have like a fuzz around each of these little ends where they have these nodules. It's kind of bizarre. The one on the left, like I said, it looks totally different as far as the positioning of these things. Jerry Lahane says straight versus crooked. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I believe the left one too before I believe the right. Although maybe it's something they did to make it so you can see it better. In other words, it's like an artist kind of thing where they drew it in so you get a better perception or visual of what this thing would actually look like. Because you can clearly see the black and white. It's really, really grainy and kind of a piss poor photo. Let me just do it this way. And where this one's like pristine, so is it possible they did that so you can get a better look and idea what it could be? I don't know. I think I know what you're talking about too. Who just said that? John Che was saying they're duplicates, and somebody said the. Tim Houston, what's going on? He said, "Hi, you guys been listening? That's seaweed. There's proof of it in Harmonic 33 for Booth Cathy." Well, I think we were talking about that earlier because you said about seaweed, but it had a different name to it. But I think it's just another name for the seaweed. But this here, these have nodules on them, which I think the other one does too. But the way this is made, none of them are bent, other than being different position. Like you see the one on the right, you can see they're all in the same position. You see the one on the left, it doesn't look like a seaweed. It looks more like something man-made as opposed to the seaweed. But I did see the picture because we talked about that earlier, and I think you've seen that. Nicholas Snyder, he said I'll be all right. There's repeating spots, shapes on the left, not part of the tower. I know what you're talking about. You see it right here. The left there, you get these two brightest areas. Come to the right a little bit further down, you got the same thing right here. So it's almost like there's something else in this photo other than just that. What the hell it could be, though, is beyond me because it's the way the photo was taken, and because it's probably so old that it just looks that way. It's hard to tell. And Habit Maj, you said, yeah, the right one looks like someone modeled it to show it better. On the left one, second row of the nodule, the back one is bent up. Not sure. Not so on the right one. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I think they just did this to show you exactly what it would look like. Now, as far as the other plant, or it might be the seaweed, these things at the ends were bent up and everything else. That's not the case here. I mean, one's in a different position. Actually, they're all in a different position. One's going this way. This one's going this way. Well, like going this way. So it's a very good possibility it is some kind of weird plant, but not the way that looks. I don't know. Could very well be, though. Metalhead says it looks like an antenna. It looks like that way to me, too. It's just weird. Kurt Abonish said the angles are very different. That's true. See here. No. Either way, that's another kind of odd one there, right? Yeah, Charlie Hayne. I was thinking the same thing when I first saw it. It reminds me of a CB-based ground plane roof chimney mount antenna. Yeah. Turkler, when you said, why do Pentagon needs briefing about UFOs? They can say, oh, well, these are just imagination of eyewitnesses, just like they did all the time. Well, that's true. They can just say, these people are pareidolia. Like we've seen that weird, what looked like a doorway or opening in that hillside on Mars. Is it possible it's that? I don't know. To me, it looks like it was intelligently made, although we're not talking something very big. Again, it's not but this freaking big. I mean, it's not very big at all. So you couldn't get the Ingenuity helicopter in it. However, you could roll up to it depending on how far it is from the rover. And of course, they can use the turret arm to swing in there and take photos of inside there. And I'm sure it has, but they're just not going to tell you that. You know, they just want to have everybody guessing. I think it's almost like they're using this, like I said before, like pawns. Like they're just trying to see what people actually thought about it. Would they be going, oh my God, like freaked out, or, and I don't mean like off the deep end kind of freaked out, but I mean like, oh wow, that's cool, or oh my God, I don't know what that is, but that's just weird. You know what I mean? Like kind of, they're trying to get people's, I don't know, it's like a sensor, if you will, to try to figure out how people react to certain things that they find in these photos. Because some of these things, like I said, when I showed that, the last one, what looked like stairs on Mars, eroded stairs, when you look at that, it literally looks like stairs have been damaged and right there. But remember when I showed those two rocks at the very top of that hill, it's like all of this layering rock, and then you see these smooth like wall underneath it all. It just doesn't make sense. Ricardo said, being able to choose those angles allows the reception and transmission of a wider range of frequencies. Well, yeah, I mean, especially if you can actually adjust the actual mast, right? You can actually change bandwidth and everything else. Tim Houston, you said that photo on the left, it's weird-looking seaweed. Seen this controversy before. Yeah, we looked at it earlier, and the way they showed the one with the seaweed, like every one of those things were bent up, just really weird upon themselves. They were just kind of like all up, where this doesn't do that at all. I mean, other than different positioning on here, now it could very well be that. I don't know. And maybe they just thought, oh, wow, that just looks odd, you know. But if this is what it really looks like on the right, meaning maybe they seen it up close, but the picture doesn't do it justice, they decided to do that so you get a better idea what it looks like, then you go, okay, now I have to question it. But it looked a lot like you saying like that plant, like that seaweed type thing. Snaggletooth, 1351, what's going on? Just coming in at the end here. But good to see you in there anyway. Lucky Mole, what are those things? Well, it's a 50-50 thing. We think it's some kind of intelligently made thing. Although, however, we did look at what looks like a seaweed that has the same kind of physical look to it as well, where if you were to look at the clearer one, and I guess this is an artist's rendition of this, but what you see is these nodules at the end of these, what looks like crosses on these, this main mast, but the seaweed has bent up ends to it as opposed to going straight out like that. This one here on the left appears to be a 50-50 thing where I believe it may actually be that seaweed or it may be something else. I'm not sure. Because either way you look at it, these are in different positions on this mast, but they're not bent up. They're just straight out and just in a round, they're just repositioned in that. So I don't know. 50-50 thing on there, but it very well may be just natural. Natural Libre, what's going on? You're all jumping in there late. All right, I bet you guys better all have a pass. All pass. Yeah, you guys are just jumping at the very end. Because I'm going to jump on off this bad boy. Been on there for 3 hours. Awesome time is always spent with you guys. Can't say it enough, man. You guys are a great bunch of people. I appreciate you all, love you all. And thanks to the newcomers for jumping on board, man. I appreciate you and sharing your comments, your questions, whatever it may be. We're open to, listen, it's like I've said this before, to all the newcomers, I'm saying this to you, it's like everybody's like at this big round table and we're all just kind of throwing ideas at each other and checking things out and having a great time and commenting, saying, hey, have you heard about this? And vice versa, I do that to you guys, and we just have a good conversation here. Although we're not actually, I'm not hearing your words, I'm seeing your comments, and that's just awesome. What's going on, Nacho? He said, thank you. You did Jamins. Hi, Chris. Sorry I've been away for a while. I nearly died a little, but okay now. Oh, I'm glad to see you're all right, man. That's crazy. And good to have you back. Like I said, I'm just jumping off this thing. I wish you were here earlier, but it's still good to see you no matter what. A couple of you guys have just jumped in there, so like Lucky Mull and yourself and everything else. So I'm glad you guys were able to jump in. I'm glad you guys are all right, man, because I haven't seen anybody in a while. I'm going, some of these guys have dropped off. I wonder what's going on. So I'm glad that you guys are okay, and you know, you just maybe it's just work, or like you said, you might have had issues. So I'm glad you're all right. And yeah, maybe we'll see you in the next one too. Be good to have you guys in there. But I'm going to jump off here for now because it's going to be late for me, and I got to get my butt up early in the morning again. Never have any Saturdays off. Oh well, it is what it is. But hold on a second. Okay. I get these at least once, maybe twice every, what do you call it? People want to donate to the channel, but they don't want to say who they are. But yeah, they're listening. If you want, like I said, I've got the link at the top of this chat right here. You can go, if you can't pay through the super chat, you can do through, what do you call it here? The PayPal. You know, much appreciated as well. And Ricardo Petrazzi, thank you very much, sir, for your support. I do appreciate you, brother. I really do. We are approaching what, hold on. There we go. We are approaching what is known as the end of the show, and those who stick around for the end can earn the honor of the last man standing in the live chat. Just be the person to post a final message, Super Live Hangout. I appreciate it, Ricardo. I really do. And I thank you. You guys are awesome, you know. Like I said, I always get great support from you guys. I don't care if it's like this. You guys are willing to support the channel, whether it's just great comments, you know, love the channel, love the content. It's just awesome. Makes my day. And I do appreciate you all. I'm going to jump off here. Like I said, I got to work, so I got to probably be in bed within the next hour. So I'm going to get off here. It's been great spending time with you guys, as always. You ladies and gents. Be more, you know, I don't want to leave the ladies out. It's always a pleasure to have all you folks in here, and we're always having a great time. So, like I said, if you want, I don't think I've got this again, but let me do this. Does anybody else need a link again to the Discord channel, my Discord channel? You can check it out. I'll give it to you. So even if we're not around, we're not actually chatting it up, you can do this all week long, which is awesome. So let me do this. I'm going to do the link again. Okay, copy it. I'm going to drop the link in the bottom here before I let all you fine folks go. There's the link. You guys want to check it out? Join the page. Like I said, we have a great conversation up there. I go up there periodically. Excuse me. I go up there periodically, and I see everybody, you know, talking it up and having a great time. Yeah, like I said, Nacho, I just left it right there, just above your comment. So, yeah. I like that, what he wrote. That was pretty funny. Nacho Libre. Oh, I nearly forgot. Hit, slap, tap, kick that button, that thumbs up button. Yeah, anybody who hasn't done it, please do so. Let's try to creep up to that, what do you call it, 200 mark. I think we're at, what, 173, 174, somewhere around there, roughly. Yeah, jumping up there, man. I greatly appreciate it. But I'm going to let all you fine folks go. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you all. You guys are awesome. And like I said, have a good weekend. Once my Saturday's over, I can enjoy the rest of my weekend. So I'm going to do the same. Everybody take care. What time is it? We'll leave it on a little longer today. We'll leave it on to, let's say, 1/2 the hour. So my time would be 7:30 Eastern time. Your time would be 1/2 your hour. So I'm going to let everybody go. Be safe. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.